About to watch it take a hit you can't recover from? Military escalation in Iran, tariffs in legal chaos, the US dollar under pressure it hasn't seen in years. History is clear. When this much uncertainty hits at once, the investors who moved into gold and silver first came out ahead. Right now, Advantage Gold is offering a free investment kit and a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's powerful new book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000. Thousands of Americans have already rolled over a portion of their 401k or IRA into physical gold and silver, completely tax and penalty free through Advantage Gold. Don't wait for the next surge to wish you had moved sooner. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Looking for a killer, possibly in Rosamond. I'm Chris Davis. That's where the Kern County Sheriff's Office says someone was shot and killed on Sierra Highway Monday night. That happened just after 10:30. And when deputies got to the scene, which was on the highway at the intersection with Orange Street, they found a man's body. They have not released the man's name and have not yet announced an arrest. One of two people killed in a wreck in Weldon over the weekend has been ID'd by the Kern County Coroner's Office. That was the passenger in the car, 62-year-old Deborah Lee Struska of Weldon. The man who was driving the car is still being called John Doe until his next of kin are notified. The Highway Patrol says the car left Highway 178 about 6:35 Saturday evening and hit a tree, killing both people. Investigators are not sure why yet. This also happened Monday night. A man and a dog were both hit by a car at the intersection of Chester and California Avenues about 10 p.m., say Bakersfield police. The man was walking across the intersection while the light was green. Police say the guy is expected to make it, but is in the hospital. The dog did not survive. The driver stayed and cooperated and was not believed to be driving drunk or going too fast. A new multi-purpose building is being planned for Juvenile Hall, also known as the James G. Bowles Youth Detention Center on Ridge Road. Plans for the building were approved by the Planning Commission last week, and those plans include a basketball court inside and out for controlled exercise, offices, interview rooms, and meeting rooms. Gas goes up another couple of cents in California and is now $5.88 on average for regular, says Gas Buddy. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think, this is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post like this. Bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening. We're going to dispense with our normal intro and get right to the broadcast, because in just about 19 minutes, we're going to cut away to where the eyes of the planet are focused, and that's Cape Canaveral, Florida, the Kennedy, or I guess I should say maybe the Donald Trump Kennedy Space Center. No, he hasn't changed that yet. It's still the Kennedy Space Center. Okay, good. We're going to go to the Kennedy Space Center, where Artemis 2 is all a go at 6:05 Eastern Time. They're expected to launch at 6:24. So we're going to cut away to that. Just real quick, the Van Alstynes are going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Jennifer and Ryan, owners of Adventis Adaptive Networks. Howard Marcus at 4 o'clock, and Ned Permenter and Mike Maggart are coming here. Foothill Hall of Fame is coming up, and Dr. Cesar Jimenez from Bakersfield College will join us at 5. But we begin with a startling day at the Supreme Court, initially because for the very first time in American history, a president of the United States showed up at an argument at the Supreme Court amongst the Solicitor General, who supports the government, and the ACLU, Wong, over birthright citizenship. And to a person, both conservative pundits, liberal pundits, all believe that the court was extremely skeptical of the government's argument, and that being a line in the 14th Amendment subject to the justice therein, they somehow think that that's a loophole. Apparently, no one does. This is a slam dunk, in my opinion. I very, very rarely, because I'm not a dumb man, disagree with Teresa Golder on several levels. A, she's smarter than I am. B, she's a judge, so she kind of knows what she's talking about. But judges can be wrong. And I think she's absolutely, as I think Brett Kavanaugh is, because I think this is going to go 8-1. I think Brett Kavanaugh is going to be the only justice that disagrees and thinks that they can end birthright citizenship. Here is conservative Justice Sam Alito giving you just a taste of where the court is leaning.
There are people who are subject to removal at any time if they are apprehended and they go through the proper procedures. But they have, in their minds, made a permanent home here and have established roots. And that raises a humanitarian problem.
A huge humanitarian problem. The government's argument is, if you were born here now, if you were brought in by two undocumented parents and you were born here right now, you are a citizen. They're not challenging that. They're saying if the court makes a decision that birthright citizenship is over at 3:30 this afternoon, from that point on, anyone who has a baby in this country and is not a resident of this country, not a citizen of this country, that child is no longer a citizen of this nation. There's no way in hell they're overturning this. Just on simple common sense. Let's say Ralph and Chris is a woman. Ralph and Chris are married and they are trying to escape Havana. They're trying to get away from the ills of communism. And we get on an inner tube and we float to Miami and we make it. We make it. We've made it to the land of milk and honey. And we go through the process and we become, we're going through the process trying to get undocumented. And we're going to be here. We've been here for 3 or 4 years and we're trying to establish ourselves. And my wife gets pregnant and our child isn't an American citizen? We're not going back to Cuba. Where is our child a resident of? She's never been to Cuba. Our child can't even speak Spanish. Where is she a resident of? She's just a member of the planet? This is dumb. This is stupid. It is absolutely enumerated in the 14th Amendment. And why, in the middle of a war with his approval ratings in the 30s, why the president thought it was right to go to the Supreme Court. And, you know, the liberal justices are saying, our liberal commentators are saying he was trying to intimidate the justices. I don't buy that. I don't think Trump's that stupid. He knows he can't intimidate them simply by his presence. Apparently, he stayed there for about an hour and a half. I think he was there to show off to his base. Hey, look, I'm taking this very seriously. And if you read his message afterwards, he was clearly pissed. He felt, just as all the pundits did, argument didn't go well for the Solicitor General. It didn't go well for the government at all. In fact, here's more this is from a liberal justice. This is Elena Kagan.
The position you're taking now is a revisionist one with respect to a substantial part of our history.
I think, though, this is one of the more compelling arguments. This is from the Chief Justice. This is John Roberts. When my phone decides to do what it does. Come on. Anytime now.
Should have sent this to me.
I don't know why I didn't.
Just thinking about it, I was like, why did you send this to me?
I don't know why I didn't. I figured I'd send enough and I could just do this over the phone.
Send me 2 things.
On a light day, I didn't. Here we go. Here's Justice Roberts. Justice?
The examples you give to support that strike me as very...
hang on. I didn't start from the beginning. Let me start from the beginning. I already started from the beginning. Okay, this is the last time I do this.
And then you expand it to the whole class
Hang on.
of illegal aliens. I'm not quite sure.
I need to get one of those cuddle
This
hanging
is
up the string.
such a bad idea. For a minute, rely on my phone. And that he wasn't buying it, basically. And I just think this is an absolute slam dunk. I don't see how in the world they can deny this. And one of the other big arguments is birthright tourism, where Chinese residents are coming here simply to have a baby. Well, there's a simple solution to that. Change the law. Why is Congress so feckless? Why are they just so armless? They act like they just can't do anything. When they hold the purse strings, they make the law, make a law. Say that you have to have some sort of permanent residence here to have a child. You can't just visit for 6 or 8 months or a year and have a child and then book back to China. You can change the law or change the Constitution. But the Constitution is clear. And this is going to be 8-1, maybe 7-2. Maybe Clarence jumps with Kavanaugh. I think Kavanaugh is a definite no. But I think based on what I heard from Amy Coney Barrett, based on what I heard from Neil Gorsuch, the two Trump appointees, they are not on board with this. And it is an absolute quagmire because if you go down that road and you say, well, if you're not born here, you're not a citizen, aren't they inevitably going to start erode those who came before the decision came down? And what about the lawsuits that are involved? And there's no way in the world. And I'll tell you, I damn near fell out of my chair 2 weeks ago when Teresa Golden told us and bet me a lunch that the court would go along with the government, because the only bars I pass are Billy's and Casey's Steakhouse and Luigi's, but I don't think you have to be a licensed lawyer to know there's no way in the world they're going to change damn near 100 years of history in this country. Just no way in the world. No way in the world. Let's go ahead and take an early break as we are headed down to Cape Canaveral, Florida. You know what I was thinking last night? Boy, I'd like to... I always said something really stupid. I was thinking, what if John Kennedy had lost to Richard Nixon? You know what I'm saying? In terms of space. Because I don't think Nixon was as obsessed with going to space as John Kennedy. No way in the world. I don't know if you know the process, and if you don't, and you own Nick Ragone's incredible presidential book, Presidential Leadership, 15 Decisions That Changed America. It's a book that has 15 chapters, and it's 15 different decisions by 15 different administrations. And you'd be shocked to find out in the Kennedy chapter, he doesn't talk about the Bay of Pigs. He doesn't talk about the Cuban Missile Crisis. He doesn't talk about the assassination. He talks about Kennedy's commitment to space, where essentially Kennedy, as early as 1961, said, I'm throwing our hat over the wall. And now we've got to figure out a way to go get it, because before 1970, man will be on the moon and return safely. And damn if we didn't do it. 6 months shy of 1970, but we did it. I'm not sure we would have done that under Richard Nixon. And think about how different the world would be. Just saying. I'd had a gummy, so I was wandering in my thoughts last night. Quick time out. We're off to Cape Canaveral. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a momentous, historic day in America, for the world, really. On News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM.
Yeah, messmaker first.
Been there, sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
You've got to be with us at least at 4:30 when Daniel Petrie, our money man, joins us, because it's been a crazy week with the Dow Jones and stocks going up and going down, much of it based on what the president has said. Once the president said, we're not going to be there long, stocks went out the roof. We'll talk to Daniel about how volatile the Dow Jones is. And can a presidential statement just change the day as it did? And of course, you know what Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors are all about. They're all about retirement. So call Daniel Petrie today at 395-9400, 395-9400. And as always, remind you, his office is located right on the corner of 21st and Oak. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker, Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice or a solicitation for advisory services by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Incorporated, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. The program host is a client and receives compensation and other financial benefits in connection with this advertisement, creating a conflict of interest. Experiences discussed may not be representative of other clients.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Carpet Outlet Plus installed over 1 million square feet of flooring last year alone. Over 20 years of Bakersfield's best flooring store means you can trust us with your hardwood, laminate, vinyl, and of course, carpet. Come in today to see over 100 waterproof floors from our in-stock inventory. It's probably been time to change your floors for a while, so call, click, or stop by today. Your free in-home estimate is waiting for you. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money
Countdown hasn't started yet.
spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you.
It's a 10-minute countdown, right?
Every time I fill up, and I've already made around.
I have a feed of it up, so. 35. Oh, in like 30 seconds. 20. 25.
Get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank.
I'll keep an eye on it and let you know when the countdown goes.
The free Upside app and use promo code WALK5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code WALK5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
Come on, hold me tight.
So it is on like Donkey Kong. We're about 4 minutes away from launch time. Everything is a go thus far. We'll walk you right up to this. In the meantime, get you caught up on the Iranian situation. As most of you know, in less than 3 hours, the president is scheduled to make his first statement, official national statement on the war, where he's expected to say that we're going to conclude this thing in about 2 or 3 weeks. And it's just yet another mixed message that this administration is sending. You know, we began with unconditional surrender. Remember that? Does everybody remember that? And now we're trying to say that the president now said that they want a ceasefire. And I'll be honest with you at this point, I really don't know who to believe. I believe that there may be a proxy that the IRGC is pushing up as kind of a dummy who is negotiating with Trump, if in fact there's somebody negotiating with them. But I don't think it's any member of the Revolutionary Guard. I really don't. These guys are not going to lay down their weapons. All we want is a moderation, a change in priority. And I just don't see these guys making a deal. And I thought that's not what we wanted. And now the mission of going and get the uranium apparently is off the table. Thank you, Jesus. I'm very happy about that. But it's just another mixed message. And now he's telling, and we're going against everything Pete Hegseth has said. Didn't Pete Hegseth just yesterday said, I'm not going to tell you this because we're not going to tell the world what we're going to do. And now the president's going to go on television in about 3 hours and say exactly what we're going to do. That we're going to cut and run in 2-3 weeks. Well, let me ask you a question. If you were the leader of Iran, what would you do? If it's me personally, fellas, we're going to wait a month. We can hold out a month because Trump just told them they're leaving in about 2 or 3 weeks. So just everybody just hang tight. We'll talk the talk with them. But they're leaving in a couple of weeks. We can hang out a couple of weeks. This whole thing has just been bungled so badly. And now we're going to stagger out and claim victory. I just don't understand it. Can we eavesdrop on some audio? We're about 2 minutes away. Going to Cape Canaveral, the Kennedy Space Center, where it is T-minus, I don't see the clock moving on our television.
It is not moving at all. It's still at 10 minutes. Give me a second.
So there has been a delay then, because they were expected to take off in about 2 minutes. So turn around, is that television synced up correctly?
I'm not sure if you're a little ahead of me or not. I'm trying to get audio from the stream, but it doesn't seem like they're feeding any.
Because it says T-minus 10 minutes, and I don't want to start counting it down if it's not accurate. But we're going to
data and cleared it. All with the world watching. Impressive work by the launch team. So we have a 2-hour window, which starts in just a few minutes at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time and goes until 8:24 p.m. Eastern Time.
And ECL entity will be waiting for your verification on the short purge. ECL copies. And for all personnel, once we get that short purge verification, we'll verify that we are clear to go, and then we'll proceed with the terminal count.
So I don't think we're close. I don't think we're very close. Can you keep that up and we can just go back to that? And we'll have to tell our guests, Jennifer and Ryan and Howard and Dr. Jimenez, that when they go, we're going to this. I want to hear this. This is history, y'all. No, the TV is behind. I can now see because they're saying on the captions, they're saying what the guy just said. So the TV is about, I don't know, maybe about 20, 30 seconds behind.
I got it up over here. I can keep an eye on it.
So we'll monitor that for you. And at whatever point they start the countdown, we're going to go to this thing because for many reasons, the most obvious, you never know what's going to happen. And I don't mean to be, negative Nelly, but you don't ever know what's going to happen. They are going to go at speeds that no man has ever gone before, to steal a phrase, and they're going in deep space, deeper than any human being have gone. And had I not left my Stinson legal pad at Starbucks, I could give you a rundown of the bio of the four astronauts, but it's not on today's rundown. You see, I had to get Chris to copy off the rundown that I sent him in the morning, just so I could know what the hell's going on my damn show. And I don't have time to run down to Starbucks, but thank God it was a new legal pad. I can just leave it there. It's only like 3 pages in, but I am excited to hear about what the president's going to say later tonight. I think that this idea that we're breaking away from NATO is clinically insane. In fact, here is Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, who has now once again changed who he is. I don't even recognize this man anymore, who is agreeing with the president that perhaps it's time we move away from Western Europe.
NATO is a one-way street. The NATO is simply about us having troops in Europe to defend Europe, but when we need their help, we're not asking them to conduct airstrikes. When we need them to allow us to use their military bases, their answer is no. Then why are we in NATO?
Well, let me explain something to you, Mr. Secretary, and I didn't think I would ever have to explain anything to you because you forgot more about foreign affairs than I'll ever know. But you don't understand why they're reluctant to get involved in this. Let me explain something to you, how it normally goes, Secretary of State. It normally goes that when a United States or any foreign country, any large nation like this that's involved in NATO is going to get involved in some sort of military effort, they kind of give the allies a heads up. You know what I'm saying? They kind of say, hey, Marcona, we're going in. I'm not asking for your permission. I'm just giving you a heads up. Keir, Prime Minister of England, just letting you know we're going in. They found out through the media. So I don't blame them for being pissed. I really don't. And I don't blame them, to be honest with you, the 10-minute countdown is on. We are inside of 10 minutes. Wow, what happens if it happens during the break?
We should be coming back right when we
35. Yeah, we should be coming right back when they come back when they are launching.
Our break is about 3 minutes. They're about
9 minutes is what I've got on TV. What do you got there?
We got 8 minutes.
Yeah, so the TV is a minute off.
Yeah.
So what do you got exactly? The TV right now says 9 minutes on the nose.
They took the clock away from me.
Oh, well, it's inside of 8.
Means they're going to take the clock away from you here in a moment.
Yes, they are. When it gets down to 8, it's at 8:53. When it gets down to 8, they're going to take it away.
But no, we should be able to come back right before this launch gets started, and then we'll be able to go to Van Alstyne's. Right?
Outstanding. Let me really quickly, did I play the Rubio bite?
Yes.
That's what I don't understand. That they don't understand the position of NATO. That they don't want to get dragged into this thing. Keir Starker's got to get reelected, just like, well, Trump doesn't have to, but just like any other official. And if he gets somehow dragged into this thing, and the fact that we have now changed the mission from we're going to open up the Strait of Hormuz to we're walking away, the president said yesterday, go get your own oil. I mean, it's a whole new America. And how you guys, as Trump supporters, are signing off on this, thinking it's a good idea that we blow off NATO. Do you understand what that means? Do you know the one man who hears that news, who is dancing through the streets of Moscow? Yeah, that's right, him. He's dancing through the streets because now he has unfettered access to Western Europe. Because why does NATO exist? So that we can defend Western Europe, so we can prevent what happened in 1939, that we can prevent what happened in 1914. Yes, we had a caller that came in and screamed that we're not the cops, the world's cop. When did we become the world's cop? And I had to give a history lesson right around 1914, right around the beginning of World War I. We became the world's cop. Over there. We're not coming back. It's over there. And then again in 1941. We are freedom's cop. We are the bastion of liberty and freedom. And without us, it really doesn't exist. That's the alternative. And Vladimir Putin could not be happier right now. Why do you think he demanded that Ukraine not be part of NATO? Because if they are, then he's got to deal with us if he goes in. Now, with us out of NATO, he can go anywhere he wants in Western Europe. And it blows my mind that there's not one person in the cabinet that's telling the president this. Quick time out. The Van Alstynes will join us, and we're minutes away from Artemis 2.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With us on news, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The astronauts are in the capsule and in place for the Artemis 2 mission. NASA's planned lunar fly-around by 4 astronauts will be the first moon trip in 53 years. The Space Launch System rocket is poised to blast off this evening with a 2-hour launch window. There had been a brief hold in the countdown at the Kennedy Space Center, but the countdown has resumed. President Trump says he would bomb Iran back to the Stone Ages if the Islamic Republic doesn't open the Strait of Hormuz. Trump's remarks in a Truth Social post Wednesday come a day after he said he was nearly ready to wind down the war once he was sure Iran wouldn't be able to build a nuclear weapon. He's scheduled to address the nation later this evening. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 224 points. This is SRN News.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. You may be able to use E85 fuel in your all-gas car legally by the end of the year if some lawmakers get their way. They say it has to do with saving money and would make a conversion kit possible in California. That could possibly be passed by the end of the legislative session in September. A man was shot and killed on Sierra Highway in Rosamond Monday night, says the Kern County Sheriff's Office. It happened at the intersection with Orange Street. No ID yet on the man and no arrests announced. A new multi-purpose room with basketball courts, meeting rooms, offices, and interview rooms is being planned for Juvenile Hall on Ridge Road and already has the blessing of the Planning Commission. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN.
Ready? Go. Okay, doctor. Operation. No, the most amazing care.
It changed my life. How is this possible for children? Because people just like you, kids like me, can play in the game of life. Thank you! Go to loveservice.org right away. Thank you!
We all start as tiny seeds, needing care, love, and a little sunlight. Then, boom, we sprout, stretch, and grow through the world of childhood and teen years. Before you know it, we're blooming, working, parenting, thriving. And yes, even golden petals can shine bright. Join Kern County Public Health and thrive like a poppy. Visit KernPublicHealth.com to learn more.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What could I do? 842-5376, 842-KERN. Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne have joined us. If you can see on YouTube, we are going to wait just a second and see if we can eavesdrop on what is going on at the Kennedy Space Center. What do you got, Chris?
We still got about 2 minutes till we can take off here. Give me a second.
So you guys are not interested in this at all. I would have thought an MIT-bound guy would have been all up in this, Ryan.
Guess I just didn't know. I've just been so busy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But that slingshot idea was on Armageddon, because when I worked for WISPA, I was like, hey, let's bring back the idea of, remember when oil drillers, saved the world.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great movie too, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Makes me cry every time.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Of course. It is. I always find the love story in a film.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot
well,
of
it's
things.
when she has to say bye to her dad. That's what makes me cry every time.
Not Jennifer Lopez's ex-husband.
No.
Isn't he in it? What's his name? Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Isn't he the love interest in that?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. And what's his? Bruce Willis hates him. All right, where are we, Chris?
Minute 20.
Minute 20 away from launch. I can't believe you guys. I really am, man.
I'm into it. I didn't know until.
Meantime, what's going on with you guys in a minute?
In a minute. Just.
Hey, let me say first.
Yeah.
I saw your ads on Instagram. They're outstanding.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were on recently Small Business Celebration podcast, and so that's available on YouTube. The full 26 minutes, but there's also some shorts on Instagram.
Yeah. I think those were really well done.
Thanks.
All right, where are we now, Chris?
45 seconds.
All right, let's listen in the last 45 seconds. Nervous time down in
after liftoff, Houston will take control of the rocket, and my colleague Gary Jordan will take over commentary. TLS, go for ALS. Great call out. The rocket is on its own. 4 brave explorers ready to ride the most powerful rocket NASA has ever launched.
Yeah, just move over, Ryan. You can see it.
Sound suppression water is flooding.
We're climbing down.
Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7. RS-25 engines. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Can you see it, Chris? Because we're a minute behind on TV.
Roger, roll pitch.
Houston now controlling the flight of integrity on the Artemis 2 mission around the moon.
The integrity, AMP high.
That is oxidized oxygen that literally lights the hydrogen on fire that ignites this thing. Ryan, can you explain any of that or no?
No.
Look at that. That is incredible. We're watching a minute behind the audio. We're just now seeing the rocket. Are we going to see the lunar module separate from the rockets?
I have not seen that yet, but I'm sure you will at some point, yes.
That is crazy. Those that whole rocket right there is larger than the Statue of Liberty. And they have to continue to refill the tanks as the day went on, because the astronauts had been in the capsule since like 11:30 this morning, and they had to keep the hydrogen is so cold
that in the heat, it somehow evaporates. Don't ask me how, but they said they had to keep topping off the tanks throughout the day. I don't even know what I just said, but I'm just parroting what I heard on television this morning. But it seems like everything's going fine. Rockets up. I don't think we're going to see, has it separated yet?
I haven't seen it, so I'm not
I don't
sure
think
you'll
we're going to
see
see it separate. So we are a go, and they are on their way to orbit the Earth, and then they will move on to the moon, where they will. It's a 10-day mission, and they will slingshot. They're going to go as fast as any human has ever gone. I think it's 2,500 miles. 25,000 miles, because it's 17,500 to get out of orbit, right? 17,500 to get out of orbit. So they're going to be going like 25,000 miles per hour, and they'll be 6,000 miles above the moon on the dark side as they come back around. Oh, no, 2,600 miles. Excuse me, 26, not 26,000. What? You imagine if they go on 26,000 miles per hour? Your skin would come off your skull at 26. 2,600. I beg your pardon. In the meantime, the folks from Adaptive Networks are here, the owner-operators, Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne. And you guys have been doing this for more than 16 years here in Kern County. I imagine you've seen some things where, I'm reading this question, by the way. I'm not even going to try to lie. I've seen some, when businesses come to you from another IT company, what are some of the winning signs that your IT provider isn't doing the job? That's a great question.
Thanks. Well, we figured, I don't know, just try to come up with some questions because, we've talked about cybersecurity a lot. We've talked about AI a lot, which they're both very important, but that's not really what we've seen why customers have been coming to us recently. And the number one reason they've been coming to us is, they've been having these problems at their office. It's probably the same problem over and over. And they call in, they don't get a call back right away. They don't get issues resolved right away. And so they're stuck in this like downtime. And they're losing, cost.
Yeah,
and so yeah, that's kind of what we wanted to talk about is what kind of day-to-day experiences might your listeners be having. It's probably similar to what our clients have had recently. So yeah.
Can you expound on that, Ryan?
Yeah, so I'd say we've seen a number of clients that have come to us recently that again, just same problem over and over. Nobody's really looking any deeper into the problem. They're just like, oh yeah, we got it fixed. The next week they call back for the same issue, or just things that are causing outages just recur. Frustrations. We've seen clients where they've placed hardware orders and stuff hasn't been ordered. It's been weeks and weeks. Things not coming in. Employees are starting without hardware, without devices, laptops and such. So just a number of things that we're seeing that there's really just seems to be a competency gap in the industry. That we're really trying to, do our part to close and show clients that there is a better way. And, with a competent team, we can just make sure their issues are resolved quickly, resolved permanently, and so they can continue to run their businesses because these are the things that, cost businesses money, mostly from downtime, outages, user inefficiencies. People that are frustrated, if your technology is not really aligned with the business, sometimes you'll actually have people head for the door and just go, hey, I can't accomplish my mission here because, the technology behind me is not, not conducive to that.
Yeah. And that's why I stress our association as a radio station with Adaptive Networks, because we don't have time to get a call back. We don't have time to hear, yeah, we'll be there in a couple of days, or it's a Friday, we'll be there on Monday. We don't have time for that. We've got stuff that runs on Saturdays and Sundays, and it's got to run. And that's why we depend on these guys. I mean, that's a huge part of it. It really, really is.
Yeah. I kind of explain it, or I like to use a lot of metaphors. I know Ryan talks about, relates it to, going to a mechanic. I don't know anything about car engines, so that's not what I relate to. But I
can tell you this. My father said, when you come to a new town, get a good doctor, a good dentist, and a good mechanic.
Well, see, the good doctor, that's the one I kind of related to, is you go to a doctor, you don't want to go to somebody right out of med school because they don't have the experience.
Right.
You don't want to go to a doctor that has, so many patients that they can't even make time for you. But you want to go.
Ain't that the truth?
You want to go somewhere that, they have enough experience where they can, because people ultimately, they see symptoms of their networks. They don't see the root cause of it. And so they can report the symptoms to us. And, if you have the experience like Ryan and, our senior engineer have, they can go, oh, I've seen this before. This is probably it. But we troubleshoot a lot of things to try to get to that root cause don't put band-aids over the the issue so it just keeps reoccurring, but try to actually resolve the issues. And it might not be resolved immediately. We might have to troubleshoot and kind of find a few different things. Ryan can kind of expand on a story of a client recently that's come to us that it was a lot. It was a lot for us to uncover.
What happened?
It was a lot. Their network was in shambles. It was a miracle anything worked. And it was so bad that, anything you touch, it just uncovers like 2 more or 3 more issues. So we'd solve one issue, 2 more would surface, solve those, come back for more the next day. And that went on for the better part of the onboarding. But we finally got to a point where they kind of didn't have anything going on for a couple of weeks. And they go, wow, everything's quiet. It all works. I go, yeah, that's where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But, years of mismanagement makes it, it can be a tedious process to get through all of that and figure out what all was broken. If your car hasn't been in the mechanic in 10 years,
right,
and it's just, it's held together by duct tape, they might have to have it in the shop a couple times to get everything all uncovered.
Well, let's stay with that car analogy. Mm-hmm. Is it just someone that's not putting oil in the car, or are they just going to a bad mechanic? You know what I'm saying?
A combination of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if your mechanic doesn't know what they're doing and then you're using the wrong parts on top of it, you can compound the problem more than, just one. But yeah, I would say both can be true. Many times we see that, both are the case.
That's incredible. That really is. I don't know how companies allow this to happen. Are they aware of what's going on? Are they aware of the levels of danger that they're in?
Well, I mean, most people don't really know technology.
Yeah.
So what you really have to look for is the symptoms. And so one of the things we do that I think really goes a long ways is transparency. So when we go looking for the problems, I mean, we're not perfect. Nobody is, right? But what I think our customers appreciate is when things are going wrong, that we're finding the reason and that we're communicating those reasons to the client. Like, okay, we found this, we're making progress, and if we fix this thing, this is going to resolve the issue that you've been having. And so we do that. So we lead with transparency. The clients, I think, appreciate that, even though they don't understand the technology, jargon. We just try to, as simply as we can, help them to understand like what we're doing and why it's a problem, and how fixing that will change whatever the problem is that they're experiencing.
Yeah.
So a lot of transparency and communication.
Yeah, I think it's a lack of understanding, and also companies are scared to change. I think providers, because they're afraid there's going to be major disruptions to their daily operations. And we try to make that onboarding and that transition as seamless as possible. So we do what we can do, on the front end, just to make, there's going to be hiccups, but we try to minimize that as much as possible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a business owner and I'm listening. How do I know I have an issue? How do I know I should maybe give you guys a call? You talked about the symptoms, but how do you, because I'm assuming most, if not all of your business is business that's coming from another business, unhappy customers that are coming to you for salvation, really.
Yeah. Well, I would say for the most part, if you're having the same problem and you're getting the same answer and you're not, your situation isn't changing, you're probably dealing with some level of just something not really knowing how to get to the root of those problems. So start by looking there. And then if you feel like the wool's being pulled over your eyes or just something seems fishy, give us a call. We can certainly, put a second set of eyes on it and, let you know what we think might be at play there, and, see if it's time to make a change.
Yeah. Give them a call at 661-241-0638 or hit them online at adaptive-net.com. Final thoughts before I let you go?
Yeah. So I know one of the things we kind of maybe don't always touch on is what is an MSP, and it's, your outsourced IT for small to medium-sized businesses. But we also do small enterprise. So if people have in-house IT, we do co-managed as well. So, that's, you have one guy, that's your IT guy. We come in alongside them. We help them out, give them backup so that guy can call in sick when he is sick, or he can go on vacation or whatever it is, to just come in and give that extra support. And we do a lot of the background stuff. And then you have that that IT person on site to maybe help out with your daily struggles.
So some companies have their own IT person that they rely on?
Some have a person or multiple staff, and we augment those as well. So we do a lot of the things that they might do once or twice in their career. We do it repeatedly. So there's a lot of experience in doing the same process over and over and getting it well refined. Yeah, we've got quite a few that are in that situation with their own in-house staff that still use us.
Yeah. Well, whether you have it in-house or whether you're unhappy with the IT company that you have, I strongly suggest that you join American General Media and get on board with these two and their company, Adaptive Networks. Call them today at 661-241-0638. Or again, hit them online at adaptive-net.com. Ryan and Jennifer Van Alstyne. Ryan is the one with the big old, yeah.
And rockets are cool.
Rockets are cool.
They are cool.
They are cool. Look at that. Is that the lunar module? See, now this is the question that I have always had. Who's filming that? Who's shooting that? Where's that camera?
Maybe it's Hollywood and we just don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, we've got a board member, we got a school board member who believes we've never been to the moon. Mary Little, a school board member, believes we've never been. How can you have a title with the word education and not think we've been to the moon? I mean, that should be like automatic dismissal. You're stupid. You've got to get off the board. I'm sorry. Good.
Would you go to the moon if you could?
Absolutely not. I've got to have a couple of cocktails to get on an L1011. Are you kidding? What's the matter with you? Ryan and Jennifer Van Alstyne. Quick time out. Come right back. Howard Marcus joins us at the top of the hour. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, there's a fundraiser coming up for the Ronald McDonald House. We're going to talk to the people who are putting it on without having to talk to Scarlett Sabin. Everybody wins. Plus news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. Right here at News Talk 96.1 and streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Oddly, one of the things that I rarely talk about when I talk about KC Steakhouse is lunch. If you work downtown, if you work for the county or wherever on Truxton, it's not very far and it's real quick and it's very convenient. And the menu is similar, just smaller portions. And it is outstanding. And the variety on the menu that Chef Daniel has put together now is simply unbelievable. It's mostly a large groups that come to Casey Steakhouse. And not everybody's feeling red meat to celebrate someone's birthday or an anniversary or whatever the event may be. And that's why Chef Daniel has advanced the menu. So there's Italian food. I love the fettuccine Alfredo with chicken. The lobster mac and cheese is everybody's favorite. The fish dishes, the mahi-mahi, the swordfish, the halibut. Where would you rather be than on F Street? And don't forget about the Stockyard next door for meetings, banquets, or just having dinner and having some of the craft cocktails that are served next door. It's Casey's Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is McGruff the Crime Dog, and I need you to help me take a bite out of crime. Counterfeit products are popping up everywhere. Fake sneakers, fake cosmetics, and even fake pills. Crooks are selling counterfeit versions of just about everything. Last year, billions of dollars worth of counterfeit products were sold in the U.S. Sure, it may seem like saving a few bucks on the things you want isn't a big deal, but counterfeits are usually made in unsafe conditions, potentially using hazardous and even lethal ingredients that could harm you and others. And the money you paid, it goes right into the hands of criminals and may support child labor, drugs, and even gangs. Smells like big crime to me. So if you still think buying fake products is harmless, think again. And remember, if you don't know where the products came from, how could you know where the money goes? You're smart, buy smart. Go for real. Learn more at mcgruffpsa.org. This message is brought to you by the United States Patent and Trademark Office and the National Crime Prevention
You're listening
Council.
to the Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Totally forgot. Got it. Hope they don't go back. You know they're going to go back and watch the segment. I'm just stretching my jaw. I just got a broken jaw. Stretching that a little bit. An historic day. NASA's launch and 4 astronauts who I can't describe because I left my Stinson legal pad at Starbucks. Who they are. I had the names and the titles. I know the one woman that's on the flight is a record holder. She was in space. She's been in space longer than any woman in history. She was on the space station, I think, for 353 days, if my memory serves, something like that. And Victor Glover, the lone brother on the flight, is a former naval pilot. I know that. And one of the mission specialists is a Navy pilot as well. And there's one Canadian who is a mission specialist on the flight. That's all I can remember. But they have safely left the Earth's realm. They'll be orbiting the Earth and then slingshotting their way in Orion to the moon. And like I said, they'll be going about 2,600 miles an hour, about 6,000 miles above the moon on the dark side, where the Indians recently returned from. They're the most recent to go to the moon, regardless of what Mary Little on our school board believes or says. And this is the beginning. You say, why are you making such a big deal out of this, Ralph? Well, this is the beginning of deep space travel. We are going to establish a base on the moon, and that is going to be our takeoff spot for a shot at Mars. And, you know, our great-great-grandchildren, I think, will be bouncing around in this galaxy. I honestly really believe that. Call me crazy. Maybe not in the galaxy, but certainly in this solar system. I think some of the travel is going to have to depend on technology. Ralph Bailey, master of the obvious. What I mean by that is they're going to have to set up, I mean, we're not going to live to see it, but I think our creative artists have hit it on the nose. You know, like this Alien. Have you seen Alien? Well, everybody's seen at least one of the Alien movies. Right. And I think those coffin-like sleep chambers, I think that's reality. I think if you're going to do deep space, there's only as fast as we can go. And there's a large amount of time travel, and you just can't. I think they're going to create something where you can almost stay in some sort of static form. You know what I'm saying? Stasis. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Stasis, where you may not even age, literally, through space and time. I mean, what Einstein was talking about is crazy. And we know for a fact that time slows down in black holes. Now, we don't know to what extent because we've never traveled in one, but we know that for a fact. And Einstein firmly believed that you can bend time, that you can actually go so fast in time that you're actually going backwards. And that's been depicted in several motion pictures. And I think they're absolutely right. We haven't figured it out, obviously, and it'll be who knows how long, when. I mean, in 1941, when we went to war, the idea of going to the moon was literally insane. Insane. And what? 29 years later, they're hitting golf balls on this orbiting rock of ours? So who knows? It could be 30 years and we're established on Mars for all we know. We have no idea the timeline on technology and what these men and women can do. And it really is rather amazing, if you ask me. Let's read a couple of text messages and get Howard in here.
Ralph, can you repeat the name of the book?
What book?
Not sure. Did you mention a book in the first half hour?
I don't think so. Did I mention a book, y'all? I don't know what book I don't know what you got to be a little more specific. Just give me a topic. I don't think I mentioned a book. What else you got?
What about babies that are dropped off at fire stations? How do we know if that baby was born to parents who were citizens?
That's a great question. That's a great question. What would you do with them? That's why this thing is a slam dunk, in my opinion. And if they want to narrow the focus and provide, and because let's face it, this isn't about the 7% of Chinese people that come here and have babies. This is about brown people. Let's be honest, just for a second. This ain't about people coming here and dropping babies off. This is about illegal aliens who have been here, whose children are automatically citizens. And the Trump administration's pissed off at that and want to change it. Well, then change the Constitution. But Trump went to the Supreme Court, some say to try to intimidate some of his appointees, maybe. I don't buy that. I think he was showing off for his supporters. If Trump knows anything, he knows his approval rating is in the toilet. And I would imagine the last thing he wants to do is go down in history as a failed Grover Cleveland, as the guy that came back and did worse than his predecessor. One of the achievements of Grover Cleveland, the reason Grover Cleveland was able to win the presidency, then lose the presidency, and then win it again, is because Benjamin Harrison was a joke, as was Joe Biden. But at least Cleveland outdid Harrison. At this pace, Trump doesn't look like he's doing better than Biden, as crazy as that may sound. Howard Marcus is next.
This is AM 1180 KERN, Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM, Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump will address the American people tonight about the Iran war.
This will be Trump's first nationwide address since this war started weeks earlier that could see Trump offer more information or a broader view on what he plans to do. Just given the amount of verbal U-turns that we've seen from Trump in the war, it just remains unclear sort of what's going to happen next. And the rest of the world is watching and waiting to see what Trump might say.
Correspondent John Gambrell reporting. White House correspondent Greg Clugston will anchor live coverage of President Trump's address to the nation tonight beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on many of these same stations. President Trump declared birthright citizenship stupid after the Supreme Court wrapped up arguments in the case. More from correspondent Bernie Bennett.
President Trump, who wants to see the practice eliminated, repeated his opposition to it in a social media post. He posted from the White House, quote, "We are the only country in the world stupid enough to allow birthright citizenship." During the arguments, the justices cast doubt on Mr. Trump's bid to limit birthright citizenship. While the concept is relatively rare around the world, about 36 countries guarantee citizenship to children born on their territory. Bernie Bennett reporting.
Artemis astronauts Reed Weissman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen are on their way to the moon. They'll hurtle several thousand miles beyond the moon, hang a U-turn, and then come straight back. No circling around the moon, no stopping for a moonwalk, just a quick out and back lasting less than 10 days. NASA promises more boot prints in the gray lunar dust, but not before a couple of practice missions. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 224 points, the NASDAQ rose 250. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this: Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
A murder with no provocation. I'm Chris Davis. Today, a hearing is being held on aggravating circumstances after the jury found Angelo Cabalzuela guilty Monday of the murder of 34-year-old Arthur Medina, a man who was riding a bicycle on Steele Avenue back on January 18th, 2022, when he stopped to talk with a couple of people in a car, and Cabalzuela pulled out a gun and shot him. The hearing is to help determine his sentence, which is potentially 50 years to life. Democratic candidate for governor Katie Porter brought her message of affordability to a town hall in Bakersfield Tuesday. The former congresswoman is one of 8 Democrats running for governor. 2 Republicans are also running. Part of Porter's message is that she believes President Donald Trump's policies are making California a less affordable place to live. Gas prices in California have stayed steady for a couple of days, and the average for a gallon of regular is still at $5.88, says Gas Buddy. A man who was killed in a wreck in Shafter just before 5 a.m. back on March 6th has been ID'd as 22-year-old Angel Ellen Miranda of McFarland by the Kern County Coroner's Office. It's still unclear why, but the Highway Patrol says Miranda slammed his Toyota Corolla into the back of a semi-trailer on Highway 43 and died at the scene. Today was the first day for the closure of part of Highway 58 for some paving work. The city and Caltrans say that closure will also be happening tomorrow. That closure is eastbound 58, and that is between State Route 43 roundabout and Nord Avenue from 7:30 to about 2 p.m. each day. The workarounds are Interstate 5, State Route 43, and State Route 119. Caltrans says the closures could go on longer if needed. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think this is, the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post like this. Bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast, as 3 Americans and 1 Canadian are speeding around the Earth and are now on their way very soon, part of a 10-day mission orbiting the moon. The beginning of establishing a base on the moon so we can begin deep space travel, starting with Mars, obviously, and then moving on. We are the 3rd planet from the sun. Mars is the 4th. And I think Mercury is the closest to the sun. Did you know you could put 1 billion Earths in the sun? That's how large our sun is. I was reading a bunch of solar facts last night. Not solar facts, but space facts. Getting ready for today. In the meantime,
sailor rent rooms to let 50 cents.
No phones, no pool, no pets. Ain't got no cigarettes. Howard Marcus. How are you, Howard?
I think you're singing my vacation theme song there. Oh, well.
Yeah?
No doors, no pets. But oh, well, I have a pet, so oh, well, I'm stuck.
Are you technically on vacation?
No, I'm kidding. I'm always on vacation. I'm retired.
That's what I was going to say.
Every day Saturday. Very nice.
Is it? Doesn't get.
Yeah, you know what? No urge to go back to work. The first 6 months when you retire,
Yeah.
you feel weird because you're supposed to be doing something. You've had a whole career of a 9 to 5 or whatever, and all of a sudden you don't. You don't really have to do anything if you don't want to, and it takes a long time for that to sink in for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could do that because I'm getting to that age where it's definitely in the discussion.
Right.
I don't think I have many years left. I'm trying to make it maybe 5, 7 more years.
Yeah.
And then what? Just playing golf every day? I can't. I'd have to do something.
Well, you find stuff to do. I have. You have to, because otherwise you just sit on the couch and, life is basically a waiting room between birth and death. And you can figure out how you fill your time. And that's going to be on you. You're going to have to figure out, either find another hobby other than golf or civic activities, which you'd be fairly active in that stuff anyways.
Yeah.
Eagles, elks, stuff like that, or just young Republicans, old Republicans. I don't know. There's always stuff to do.
Yeah.
My wife's really all of a sudden discovered arts and crafts. My house full of stuff that looks like, a craft room exploded, and that keeps her time full. But it's better to sit in front of the couch,
Yeah.
in front of the TV.
Maybe at that point I'd contemplate politics.
Doesn't hurt.
Get on the city council.
Yeah,
just to have something to do.
What you got now, it'd be an upward thing. I'll
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my God,
But you get a lot of slings and arrows. You think radio's
if you did radio long enough, you'd be used to it.
True that. I think politics is even harsher.
Well, here's the problem you've got that everybody has. Everybody, me included, somebody will try and find something in your past.
Oh, of course.
So,
and my closet's full.
Well, everybody is. It's just a matter of does everybody else know what's in your closet?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? If you don't care about that kind of stuff, if
and I
you're
don't.
honest about it, yeah, I know you don't because you talked about it.
Yeah. At this stage of my life, couldn't care less.
Yeah,
couldn't care less. Got about 15, 20 years left. Am I going to stress it out, really? That's the only good thing about old age is just you let the little things just slide off your back. You really do.
I learned that about 15 years. I had a friend who was very young dying of a horrible cancer. And same thing my father and I talked about when he got his first time he went through cancer. You stop sweating the small stuff when you realize how finite your life is and the things you agonize over, you won't even care about.
And I think that is part of it. I think you stumbled staggeringly haphazardly on the truth because I was going through my pictures last night and I saw 3 different friends of mine who are younger than I am that are gone. John and Eddie and Mike's brother and just 3 guys that I adored that are Johnny's my age, but John was younger than I am, and the other guys are younger than I am, and they're gone. They're gone.
No, all my best friends are gone. I mean, we're talking about 40 years. One of them was from high school. I was best man in his wedding. He died 2 years ago. Another friend I've known for 25 years. We were buddies. I was in his wedding. In fact, I was best man in his. They've all passed.
Yeah.
And it really puts a picture on, without getting more, but it puts a picture on it that how transitory things are and how brief the chance you have to really do something is.
Yeah.
And it makes a change. It really does.
It does.
The idea, you don't want to work till you drop. Because nobody cares. Once you're gone, you're replaced.
Yep.
No matter what your job is, that's the beauty of the way our society works. Everybody is replaceable.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely right. All right, let's get after it. Where do you want to start? You want to start with NATO, the war, tonight's speech?
We can do NATO. Of all people, one of the administrators, one of the politicians of Spain called for Spain to withdraw from NATO, which is interesting. I just read the article on it, and the reality of it is we should withdraw. We are no longer the welfare check for the West. Whether it's funding most of the UN, all these other NGOs, or even NATO. You know what? If we withdraw from NATO, and if they don't pick up the slack, if they want to be speaking either Arabic or Russian, that's on them.
Really?
I agree. We should pull out. And here's the deal.
So you see a Western Europe dominated by the Russians, and you're okay with that?
I'm not okay with it, but do you want to have World War III? We don't have a vested interest.
If the Russians go into Western Europe, we have World War III.
Well, they have. Remember, France and England, most of these countries have their own nukes. It's on them. But the reality of it is, to finish my thought, we would have defense agreements, individual defense agreements. Eastern Europeans who've had Soviets dominating them and occupying the country, Poland, Hungary, Romania, move our bases there and have agreements with them to stage our stuff, to have transitory points for refueling and travel for our troops, because they want us there. They've understood exactly what happened as a result of the Soviet Union. And they appreciate us much more than Western Europe, who's never had to worry about it. They weren't occupied by a totalitarian regime. They didn't have to round it up.
Who wasn't?
Who was what?
Western Europe wasn't dominated by Nazis? And France wasn't occupied?
I'm talking about the Soviets. I mean, the Soviets occupied under the Warsaw Pact up until 1991. And remember 1989 when the Berlin Wall fell?
Right.
The East Germans, the Polish, the Hungarian uprising, 56 of the people were massacred by the Soviets. Romania under Ceausescu. Eastern Europe was definitely either occupied or really under their sway. Look at Finland, lost 13% of their territory to the Soviets. The Eastern European is keenly aware of the Russian threat. Western European, because they're not right on the front lines, and we've been shielding them, they can afford these insane liberal policies because they don't see it coming to anything that's going to directly threaten them. So they can have this thing where we won't let you use our bases, and they won't pop the 5% of their GNP, and they'll drag their feet. Well, the reality is that's fine. We just won't have to deal with you. We won't have bases in your country. We'll take our toys and go home, and we'll go to countries that want us there, which would be Poland, Hungary, Romania.
Wow.
Which is where they would be anyways. And the reality of it is we won't have any suffering because the front lines are going to be Poland, Hungary, and Romania. They're the ones that are going to be directly adjacent if Ukraine falls. It's not going to be France. It's not going to be England. They may be dominated by the Russians, and they probably will be, but they've got their own internal issues. They better start passing on burkas in France and in England, let alone the Russians. No,
wow.
I think NATO
you have surprised me.
North Atlantic Treaty Organization is a Cold War relic. The whole idea was at the time we had real problems with the Soviet Union.
And we don't now.
We still do, but they don't. But Europe doesn't want us there and doesn't appreciate us and wants us to foot the bill.
Why? Because we entered into the war and they found out about it on CNN?
Well,
because you're well aware that 9.9999999 times out of 10, a president, the United States, when we're getting involved in anything on that side of the world, I don't know, we kind of let people know.
Well, here's the situation.
If I'm Keir Starker, if I'm Macron, if I'm any of these leaders, I'm pissed too. You're going to drag me into this and I have no say? You didn't even tell me about it? And now I've got to give you bases and drag you into this and get bounced as the Prime Minister of England because my people don't want us involved in this?
Well, here's the deal. And it was perfectly explained in a hilarious fashion. It was shocking the way he said it. And the Japanese asked him, the Japanese Prime Minister reporter at you saw that one, I assume. When they asked him, why didn't we let them know in advance? And Trump had a hilarious answer, politically incorrect, horribly incorrect, and you talked about it earlier. Well, why didn't you tell us before Pearl Harbor? Because here's the situation. If we let some of the Western European countries know, countries like Spain or France or England, someone would have leaked it to the Iranians and it wouldn't have had a surprise attack. And there's a whole sub-theory about this. I don't know if you the whole sub-theory, which I've yet to see proven, with him letting Tucker Carlson know that who had direct contacts with Iranian officials, that we weren't going to do anything, and purposely called him to the White House. I don't know if that's true or not. It makes a funny story if it is. But the reality is, leakers leak. If you're going to have a surprise attack, you tell as few people as possible.
So you think you're blowing me away today, Howard. You're going in realms I've never heard of.
Our allies. Why would you tell our allies that aren't?
Because they're allies.
Listen to me.
They're our allies.
Let me finish. Why would you tell your allies about an attack they're not participating in, that they have no troops involved, that we're merely using bases as transit points? That's all we're using them for. That we already had agreements, by the way, to use those bases. We've had those bases used before. Obama used the bases in Libya. He didn't tell them we're coming.
Well, can I answer your question?
Sure, go ahead.
Because why would we tell them? Because inevitably we need them. That's why we would tell them.
For what?
Oh, I don't know. You just mentioned bases, airspace.
Well, they're denying us the use of the bases now.
Because we didn't tell them. Had we brought them on board, maybe they'd be more amenable to what we're trying to do. Maybe if we had broken down, let me just finish my sentence, Howard.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe if we had simply made a statement like tonight as to what we're trying to do, why we're trying to do it. Even George Bush put together an axis of countries when we went into Iraq and Afghanistan. What do you mean, why would you tell your allies? You're saying things I've never heard before in my life, Howard.
Listen, first of all, Bush is a different situation. It wasn't a surprise attack. We had troops staged there for a month. Well, luckily for us, Saddam Hussein sat on his hands, thinking we'd never attack. And there was coalition troops actively involved in the theater there. We invited them in. This one, they're not involved at all. We're merely using transit points. And again, as I stated, Spain wants to pull out of NATO.
What's that got to do with us?
Spain pulling out of NATO? They already denied airspace to us. France just denied Israel transit for resupply. So if we're subject to the whims of liberal governments, where they decide when and where we can use the bases that we have agreements with, then we're at their mercy for anything we do unless they approve of it.
So what happens with
is, as I've already stated, there are other bases that are suitable in Eastern Europe that we could be using that want us there and are willing to have us there. And we don't need to be in NATO to do that. And all we do with NATO is we subsidize their military so they don't have to spend 5% of their GMP, which we do spend that much.
Have you always felt this way, or is this part of you're jumping on the Trump train?
No, I've always felt this way. NATO is a Cold War relic that collapsed in 1991. It was specifically designed to, the whole idea was that the Soviet Union was going to invade Western Europe, which was a real threat.
Which, if we leave NATO, they definitely will.
Yeah,
there's no doubt in my mind. The only thing that prevents them from going into Western Europe is the United States of America. That's the only thing that stops them.
No, it's Ukraine.
What do you mean it's Ukraine?
They have to go through Ukraine. Ukraine's right in between Russia and Western Europe.
And what are they doing? And what are they doing right now?
Well,
they're going through Ukraine.
No,
and it's your thesis. It's your thesis that if NATO doesn't exist, they're going to stop once they dominate Ukraine. They're going to stop.
Not dominating Ukraine. They've been halted. They've had 1 million casualties. And here's the thing with Ukraine: we've changed from the Biden era. We just threw money at Ukraine, and I don't know if you know they've changed this to that we are allowing Europe to buy U.S. munitions and supply them.
We're all aware of that, Howard. So
that's what I'm saying.
Let me stop.
Europe has to step up.
Yes.
Europe to defend itself. If Europe's not willing to defend itself and forces us into a foreign intervention against Russia that they're not willing to stand up for, why are we doing it?
Because that's the deterrent to Russia, period, end of sentence. There is no other, tell me what other deterrent would stop Putin from just rushing through Western Europe other than confronting us. What would stop it? Explain it to me.
It will be European troops on the European border with Ukraine. It will be Polish troops who are fully integrated. It will be Hungarian and Romanian.
And they're going to stop the Russian war machine. They're going to stop the Russian war machine.
Well, the Ukrainians, remember the 3-week war that was predicted in Ukraine? We're now in the 4th year. You're saying they're going to rush through Ukraine?
Yes.
They haven't done it in 4 years.
Well, they're about to.
They've had 1 million casualties. They lost 5,000 tanks.
And
Ukrainian technology has gotten so sophisticated in drones that they're now providing them to us and to Israel.
And if it weren't for a dictatorship, you'd be right. But if this takes 10 years, Putin doesn't give a damn. You can't deal with a dictator that doesn't give a damn what the body count is. Under any other democratic leadership, this war would have been over. No way does America stand for us being in Ukraine for 4 years. But when you've got to jump to the dictator, it's the same thing with Iran. We're talking about going after their water and their electricity. You really think the IRGC gives a damn about that? That it's going to affect the people that, 20,000 of them they just killed? When you're dealing with a dictator, there is no political movement. There is no, we got to get out of here. The Russians can be in Ukraine for 10 years, and not one Russian is going to do a damn thing about it.
Well, here's the situation again. They have to go through Ukraine. They didn't go through in the 3 weeks, which everybody predicted. Everybody predicted Ukraine would immediately fall. That didn't happen. 4 years later, the Russians have been fought to a standstill. They're still fighting over the Donetsk region, which they've been trying to take for 4 years, which is the salient in the middle of Ukraine.
How is this?
Is that there are European support troops now involved on the borders with Ukraine. In fact, when they have the drones coming in, the Polish Air Force, the Romanians are scrambling their aircraft. And this is insane. You want us to defend Europe when Europe won't defend itself, and you want to put boots on the ground for U.S. versus Russia, but you don't want whether Europeans participate or not. That's what you're saying. You want us to risk American lives?
Yes.
We're screaming about Iran, and we don't have any troops on the ground there. Imagine what it's going to be when we have to send troops to Ukraine to support your argument. Imagine we have to send troops to Western Europe again to support your argument. You think there's going to be any political will for that?
It doesn't matter about political will.
U.S. deaths, hundreds of thousands, not the 300 that have been wounded so far, and they're screaming about that. Hundreds of thousands, risk of nuclear war. for a region that doesn't even want us there and doesn't willing to fight for itself.
And this is the same
2.5% of their GMP. They can't even up to 5%, which they've already pledged to do and never have done so.
This is the same argument. But tell me when I can talk.
Go ahead.
This is the same argument they had in December of 1941.
No, it's not.
It's the same argument. This country was absolutely divided. We're not going to go over there and save the bacon of the French. This is crazy. This is stupid. And then December 7th came around, and we realized this is a bit much bigger deal than this. And somebody on this show asked, why are we the cop of freedom? I don't know, but that's the way it is. And to hear you say a Russian-dominated Western Europe is okay by me because we'd have to put bodies on the ground and we might die. Yeah, I'm willing. I'm personally willing to go fight off the Russians from Western Europe. At 63 years old, I'm willing to, because I can't see a world where Vladimir Putin. Can I just finish the statement?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just can't imagine a world where Vladimir Putin is dominating Western Europe, and that anybody on this planet thinks that that's a good thing. That that's a good thing for the United States of America. That Vladimir Putin and the Russians are running through France and London and Western Europe because of the defeat of NATO.
You remember what happened, how we got involved in World War II? Hitler made a huge mistake. He declared war on us. We didn't declare war on him. He had submarines off the New Jersey coast seeking tankers within the U.S. territorial waters, declared war on the United States after Pearl Harbor. We didn't declare. We had a strong isolationist sentiment. We were dragged into the war. Now, whether I think it's a good thing? My father's a Holocaust survivor. Of course I think it's a good thing. But they're apples and oranges. The reality of it is that there is no sentiment in the United States today, as you just stated, with 50% of the government, 50% of the population, vehemently opposed to anything Trump does, even when justifiable with a country that's threatening us with ballistic missiles and nukes, as in Iran. You said the poll ratings are low. Imagine if we said we're going to send 500,000 troops to Europe, how that's going to go over. It will never happen.
To save France and England?
It doesn't matter. It'll never happen. The will is not there anymore. And the reality of it,
I disagree with you.
Like a broken record, Europe has to learn to step up to defend themselves. And if you're saying they're not capable of doing so, when they don't try, then why are we doing it?
Because we are the only ones that can stop the Russians.
That's short of a nuclear war. How do you stop them? You want millions of U.S. troops in Europe? The countries that don't want us there now, under a war that we're not asking to be involved in?
Your description that they don't want us there is Trumpism. They don't want to be dragged. They don't want to be dragged into a war that Donald Trump. They don't want to be. They don't want to be dragged into a war that Donald Trump started on a hunch without any of their advisement, let alone knowledge. And I completely understand that. Your description that they don't want us there that's Trump talking. That's craziness. That's not true. That's just not true, Howard. You know it. That's not true.
I'm not a Trump guy, Ralph.
Well, you're parroting him because that's not true.
What the polls show, the England and what the leaders are saying to us directly. Just read the headlines from today.
All right. You blew me away today, Howard. It was good, but you blew me away, man.
Spirited debate.
Very good. Say hi to Mary. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
Alrighty, guys.
If we're still here.
Okay.
Howard Marcus, quick time out. Headed to the bottom of the hour. Coming up in the 5, folks from BC, Dr. Cesar Jimenez will join us. And it's that time for Foothill High School. And the legend, Ned Permenter, and former supervisor Mike Maggart join us as well. You're listening to TRBS on a Wednesday, Hump Day, an historic day in America as 3 Americans and 1 Canadian are speeding to the moon. Right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Thursday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We will break down the absolute latest on the war in Iran. What do we think about potential ceasefire talks? How is the market responding? What is the price of oil and gas doing? We will tell you all of that. More fallout from the birthright citizenship and the president's big address, 9 p.m. Eastern. What did he say? What do we think? All that and more. You won't want to miss it. Thursday edition, Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Adaptive Networks. Business owners, how many times have you called your IT company and felt like just another ticket number? Well, at Adaptive Networks, exceptional customer service isn't just the promise, it's how they do business every single day. And nobody knows that better than the folks here at American General Media, because they are a client of ours and we are a client of theirs. IT is incredibly important for a radio station. We can't depend on somebody saying, well, we'll be out there tomorrow, because all you hear is nothing. So it's do or die for us. That's why we depend on Adaptive Networks. And when you call, you'll actually talk to a real person who knows your name, understands your business, and genuinely cares about solving your problems. No phone trees, no runaround, no attitude. That's what Adaptive Networks are all about. Call today at 661-241-0638. That's 241-0638. Join the IT network that American General Media uses every day.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
842-5376, 842-KERN. Love Howard to death. But he's been taking some cray-cray pills. I think part of the medication they've been giving him is making him a little cray-cray.
He did say he had a lot of honeydews today, so maybe he was tired.
Something. Because the idea of us just abandoning Western Europe, I've never even contemplated. I've never even heard of it until Trump talked about it. And now Howard's talking about it. You've always got to ask yourself, what does your enemy want most? And what Putin wants most is those countries around him not involved in NATO. Why? Guess why? Quick time out. Coming right back.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
No guest here, right? Okay. On a high. Did you ever get a hold of Magritte? Voyage in more than a half century. It's the thrilling leadoff in NASA's push toward a lunar landing in 2 years. The 32-story moon rocket blasted off from Florida's Kennedy Space Center Wednesday evening, carrying 3 Americans and 1 Canadian. The Supreme Court seems poised to reject President Trump's restrictions on birthright citizenship in a consequential case that was magnified by his unparalleled presence in the courtroom. The justices on Wednesday heard the Republican president's appeal of a lower court ruling from New Hampshire that struck down the citizenship restrictions. On Wall Street, the Dow by 224 points. More details at SRNnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. Sentencing will be coming soon for Angelo Cabalsuela, and today a hearing is going on to help determine what that sentence might be for the murder of 34-year-old Arthur Medina, who was shot and killed as he sat on his bicycle on Steele Avenue back on January 18th, 2022. He faces a possible sentence of 50 years to life. A man killed in a wreck in Shafter back on March 6th has been ID'd by the Kern County Coroner's Office as 22-year-old Angel Aaron Miranda of McFarland. That wreck happened just before 5 a.m. when his car hit a semi-truck's trailer on Highway 43. 10 puppies were rescued from under a house that was on fire Friday by firefighters with the Kern County Fire Department. All are doing well. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here for King Door Company. I had my garage door installed over 20 years ago and it still works like the day it was installed. So I know all about King Door's quality products. But let's talk service. At King Door Company, it's an obsession. Whether you're having your garage door installed, serviced, or repaired, you can count on King Door Company to do it right. And it all starts with training. All King Door techs have been through the King Door Academy, an on-site training center where technicians study the very latest in garage door technology so that when they show up at your house, they have all the experience and product knowledge they need to take care of your garage door. They really are the state of the art. And when you pair that expertise with King Door's legendary customer service, you get a service experience that can't be beat. So whether you need a new garage door or just service on an existing door, regardless of who built or installed it, count on the pros at King Door to do the job right. Just call 397-2744 or check them out online at kingdoor.com. King Door Company, the company with the pride of a lion.
It's the JR Show.
So the IOC has finally done the right thing and banned transgender people from women's sports. They didn't do it for men's sports because you don't see the issue of trans people going from women to men trying to compete with men. No, you only see men trying to compete with the women because they know they have an advantage. And if they're not happy with that decision, well, they can just take their ball and go home.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back.
I'm Ryan and Jennifer's daughter. I was like, nice meeting you. I was pointing out a lizard to her. What? Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm just more thinking like...
Well, it's got to be Ryan's daughter. I don't think it's Jennifer's daughter. They have kids together, but apparently that I didn't know he was a child from another situation.
Makes sense. Okay. That would make more sense.
Because how old do you think she is? She's got to be at least 15. I didn't ask her age.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see, or I didn't get you to look at her, so I couldn't tell you.
Oh, I thought you saw her.
Like, I saw, like, somebody, but I couldn't tell, really.
The Van Alstyne's office, owner-operators, and one of our clients, and we're a client of theirs, Adaptive Networks, is right across the way from us. We are in a business complex that very few people are even aware of. We're off of Easton, just up from the Marie Callender's, and it's a large business complex with about 150 different businesses. In fact, it's so funny, a buddy of mine is an accountant in this complex, and after about 5 or 6, I've been here 13 years, after about 5 or 6 years, we ran into each other. And I said, what are you doing here? And he said, I've had an office here for 10 years. What are you doing here? And I said, well, I work on Suite 134. I've been here for about 6 years. And we never knew it. Been working in the same business complex with one of my best friends for 6 years. I think they moved out, but it's a unique business complex. And I have so many Uber drivers who are like, I never knew this existed. Never knew this existed. Let's check the board, see what everybody's talking about. What do you got?
Earth exit speed, 17,000 MOH.
17,500 to be exact, to escape the Earth's orbit and get outside our space. Yes, a big day, but they're going to be going about 2,600 miles an hour at one point. That's just incredible. I don't know how you train for that. Oh, good. I called Mike Maggart to do him at 5:20s here at 4:35. So maybe we'll back up Dr. Jimenez to 5:20.
Do you want to take a break and just do them right now?
We could. Mike, are you listening? We could do you after this next break. In fact, let's get them in here. Yeah, we'll do them at 4:45. Since they're here already, I'm looking at Coach Ned right now. We're on a delay, so he didn't see me wave. I think they're hearing it now. Or no, they're getting out of the car. Ah, he gave us a thumbs up. Okay, good. All right, very good.
Might as well. We're here already.
They're here already.
Solves that problem.
Talk about punctual. Good Google and Moogly.
No kidding.
I mean, even if we did them at 5, they're still 20 minutes early. Well, we're going to take a break and come back and talk with the legend. Longtime Foothill coach Ned Permenter and longtime supervisor, former city council member, former board of education member, our good friend Mike Maggart will join us then. Coming up at the 5, Dr. Cesar Jimenez from Bakersfield College. And did you know it's National Walk Day? That's right. It's National Walk Day. Am I just a complete egomaniac, or have I prompted our staff to start walking? Chris doesn't want to answer that question.
I have seen 2 people.
Shanks and Randy.
Yeah.
But they never walked before I started walking.
Well, you know what? I might give you credit for JR too. JR walks.
JR walks too? See, none of those guys walked before I started taking laps. Just saying. Look at Shanks right now. Right now he's circling the building. We sit on our butts for 3-4 hours. It's good to just get up and just kind of circle the complex and get the steps going, man. I'm having a good year so far. I'm averaging about 5,600 steps a day, which you want to be closer to 10, but 56 isn't bad, considering there's at least one weekend day where I get like 92 steps. Mostly Saturdays, depending if I'm playing. I haven't played 36 in a weekend in a long time, both Saturday and Sunday. But if I ain't playing golf, like the weekend of the Masters, I'll get 13 steps that Saturday, Sunday, because I ain't going nowhere. Just saying. Quick time out. Mike Maggart, Ned Permenter. Join us next. Don't go anywhere. It's the Ralph Daily Show.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, there's a fundraiser coming up for the Ronald McDonald House. We're going to talk to the people who are putting it on without having to talk to Scarlett Sabin. Everybody wins. Plus news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. Right here at News Talk 96.1 and streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
So I had my first inquiry into Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue, a new client, one of the best caterers in town. And yeah, he just happens to be one of my best friends, but he happens to be one of the best caterers in town. And somebody asked me, how deep does Mike go? And I said, well, he provides appetizers, the main menu, and side dishes. And Mike does the cooking. He comes with a crew. He comes with a rig. They do all the cooking. They do all the cleaning. They do all the serving. You do absolutely nothing but pick up the phone and call Mike at 393-5507. That's 393-5507. Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue has been raging now throughout this entire century for over 25 years. Mike, a former NFL star, has used that discipline he learned in the NFL to engineer his organization. It doesn't matter what your event is, whether it's a corporate event, graduation, Mike is there with the grill and ready to cook. Call him again today at 393-5507, 393-5507. Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue. And yes, after 9 years, they're still raging hot.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-1509. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-1509 or biglou.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore, and every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You know we've got
842-537-6, our phone, but coming up top of the hour, the folks from Bakersfield College are going to join us, Dr. Cesar Jimenez, and it is National Walk Day. You will hear from a cardiologist about the benefits of walking, and we'll talk a little Dodger baseball. The Dodgers game 3, the rubber match of the 3-game series. Cleveland won the first one. Shohei threw a 1-hitter last night in 6 innings, and I did it, Chris. I did it.
Good luck.
I put $50 on underdog, and I had it. I had it though, Chris. I had it. I had Shohei getting 6 strikeouts. On his last at bat, he got the 6 strikeouts. So I'm jumping up in my bed. And then I got Ramirez not to get a hit. He went hitless. I had something else. I can't remember a third one. My fourth one was Mookie just had to get on. Not a hit, just a walk. And in the bottom of the 8th, he pops up. And I lost. Speaking of sports, as those that are watching on YouTube can see, the legend is here. Longtime Foothill football coach Ned Permenter, and of course, longtime supervisor, our good friend Mike Maggart has returned from the coast. That must have been a horrible drive to come back to this.
Well,
although the temperature is great now. This time
you fellas are worth the drive.
Yeah.
But I'm going home tonight.
Exactly. It's our annual discussion with these two. It's the Hall of Fame at Foothill. It's the class of 2026.
Yes.
Tell us about this class in general, Coach.
Well, it's a good group, and we have a football team going in. I might just mention them. 1972 as a championship team, and had some of the best talent ever on it. In that group, there were 5 people that will eventually become back of the year or lineman of the year. It was, Gary Blackford and John Despoy, the first one, and then Ron Settle and Don Grigsby, and then Jeff Houghton. And then we also had Lonnie Shelton at tight end, and we had John Clark, who was a Hanford coach, and Mike Anderson, who became the coach up there in Wenatchee. And of course, we had Mike Maggart over here too.
Mike was on the ball club.
Well, we had to look at a lot of film to find him catching a pass.
What did he play, tight end?
I played tight end, yeah, a little bit of defensive end.
But no, they were a good football team. They won the championship back when I consider kind of the golden era of football. We went and played Delano at the stadium and won a playoff game, and then we lost to a good McLean team that had a lot of Division I ball players and some NFL people later on. But it was a great season, a great team, and what was amazing, that was kind of the golden era of football. We won 5 straight championships, and that group there, the next year they went 9-1, and then they went 10-0. So they had won 25 of their last 26 games regular season.
Wow.
But the year they went 9-1, co-champs, we didn't go to the playoffs. It only took one team. So people would complain about that today, I guess.
No kidding. 9-1, and you don't make the playoffs? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I'm very close with the Shelton family.
Oh, you are?
Yes. I'll explain it. Or I'll say I dated his niece for a while. She's a great gal. We're still really good friends.
They're a wonderful family.
Yeah. Oh, and they're all like Lonnie.
Yeah.
Because she is 5'10", 10.
Yeah.
About, well, I won't say much, but she's a big girl. And Lonnie was a huge man. And I just heard, what's my favorite sports podcast? Up in Smoke, Smoke on the Water. What is it called?
All the Smoke.
All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson.
And Cody Kessler.
And Cody Kessler comes on sometimes. And they had, they were talking about Lonnie Shelton.
Oh, really?
And what a monster he was in the post. And he played for, I think, the Seattle Supersonics.
Yeah, Supersonics.
For a long while.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear his name pop up.
Yeah,
And I didn't know he was part of that ball club.
Oh, we could tell you so many good Lonnie stories.
Yeah.
He's just a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
I said, Lonnie, what are you most proud of in your whole life? And you got to know Lonnie. Well, he says, and he started to get a big tear rolling on his cheeks. He goes, I'm the most proud of my whole life of my boys.
Yeah.
And what my boys have turned out to be.
Good for him.
He just loved his kids.
Yeah. All right, let's go through this list and players. Let's talk about everybody.
Okay, why don't you tell them about Duran?
Hey, John Duran was a quarterback back in 1966, 67. Also a baseball player. He played 3 years of varsity ball. He led the city in hitting as a sophomore, 431, and was selected all city, all league, and quite a baseball player. And then he was a football player. He was our quarterback, and he played, and he set a couple of records. He had the leading passing percentage in the league that year, most yards, and he set the Foothill record for a single game at 257 yards. It stood for a long time because we didn't throw the ball.
Right. Pretty good 1967.
Yeah. And then he's probably most remembered back in those days. We met the drillers at the end of the season. That was the hottest ticket in town, and we'd beaten them the year before. So 2 years in a row, we tied him 13-13. He played both years, and he ran for one and threw for one, and then he ran for two TD passes the next year. So he's kind of remembered for the Bakersfield rivalry.
Yeah. I bet. Let me stop it right there and talk about how sports for our youth has changed. Because in that era, and even a little bit later in the 70s when I was going to high school, you played whatever season it was.
Yeah.
And now it's changed where parents are specializing their kids. If their kid's an extraordinary baseball player, they've got him playing baseball all year round. He's not playing football. He's not playing basketball. I think that is so detrimental to these kids. What do you think, Coach?
Right on. I've been a big proponent from the time when I was in Wasco, a small high school. We played football, basketball, baseball, like everyone else. You have to share athletes. But today, everyone seems to think that the goal is, I'm going to get a college scholarship. I'm going to play in the pros. And if they know how few people make it to the pros, I mean, that's, it's, I think, hey, have fun in high school.
Yeah.
Explore what it is. And, I hate to see a price tag attached to it with some of these things, because some kids can't play. Right. They don't have the money.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's sad. And I've always said the greatest thing about my youth was the fact that I went to a tiny little high school and could convince myself that I was a really good athlete because I got to play everything. And that's what kept me in line as a student.
Yeah.
Because my parents held that over my head. No grades, no play. And honest to God, without that, I would have been aimless. I really would have been. But I just wanted to get your comment on it. Let's go continue through the line here.
I've heard you talk about Title IX lately.
Yeah.
And Jerry Kincaid here is being inducted as a track star at Foothill. She came into Foothill as a freshman the first year Title IX came into play. So had she come the year before, would have had very, very limited opportunities.
Yeah.
But she comes in as a freshman. She happens to be a talented runner. She goes to state in the over the course of her high school career. She goes to state in hurdles, relays, and sprints, and has a fantastic, athletic ability. But this is the thing about Title IX. I heard you say something. I was thinking about this myself. Ted Oliver describes athletics as this: in some people, there's the heart of a champion, and they see somebody running in front of them, and they will be determined to run that person down. They will not let them get ahead of them. You only learn that in competition.
Yeah.
And Jerry Kincaid is one of those people. Think of the young women who will never have that chance if this debacle we see of men participating in women's sports continues. That takes some girls' opportunity away.
Yeah.
I just was agreeing with what you said there.
Yeah.
But Jerry went on to be the administrator of the year in the state of California. She's been a high school principal, a principal at 3 different schools. She's a wonderful person giving back to our community. And but she happened to have been a real track star when she was a high school kid.
Wow, that's exciting. Yeah, I've told the story. I went to Cal State with a young woman that I bet I've never used her name, but I bet you'd know her. She was a West High School superstar. But this was in '92. She goes to college in her hometown. She can't play on the basketball team because there's no basketball team. And if she had just been 10 years younger, she'd have been a collegiate star.
Yeah.
You know that for a fact. And she's a local high school coach now, but she never got to play college basketball. And it's just such a shame. It really, really
Is her name Wendy?
No.
No.
I'll tell you.
There was a girl named Wendy who was at North High. She was at North High. And I used to play park basketball with her. She was great.
Yeah.
Had no opportunity to
No
play.
opportunity.
My age,
Yeah.
no opportunity.
And
to
that's
play.
sad. And that's sad. Who else we got?
Next up is a guy named Steve Aggerton. Steve Aggerton. He was the first athlete who signed a professional contract out of Foothill.
Wow.
And he was drafted by the Chicago White Sox and went ahead and played pro ball for them. He has some hilarious stories. He went away to a high school trip to Disneyland, a very popular thing to do. He comes back from Disneyland trip that night, steps off the bus, and his scout from the White Sox was there and said, "We got to go home and get dressed, get your stuff. We got to go to Florida. You playing ball tomorrow." So he's never even been on a plane before.
Right.
Next day he shows up in Florida and he's in the rookie league and he says, "Man, last week I was hitting high school pitchers throwing nothing but fastballs.
Right.
Easy. He could hit fastballs." He goes there and he says, "These guys can throw everything you can imagine, put it where you want, including under your chin." It was a real challenge.
Yeah, I bet.
And he played for them for a few years, and then he came back to town and was a world-class softball player, played in 7 world championships. And interestingly, he said hitting softball pitchers was harder than hitting pro hardball pitchers.
Really?
Because they're 15 feet closer.
Right.
They throw just as fast, and they can make the ball
rise. Yes. Yeah.
He said it was really hard to hit fast pitch baseball, softball pitchers.
I bet.
Who else you got, Coach?
Well, I have Mrs. Foothill, Teresa Hudson, who you know married Mark Hudson, a well-known basketball coach.
Love him.
And
Love
they're-
him.
yeah,
I went to
and they're-
college with his son, Justin.
I was at Foothill
Yeah.
40 years, and I've never known anyone that represents Foothill better than she does. She was there. She was a teacher with special ed. She has been a coach. She coached volleyball. She coached golf. And the first year coaching volleyball, she won a championship. Then she became an activity director, and she put on the greatest. She had that school going with good rallies, good functions all the time, taking kids to camps and conferences. And she just really emotionally got so many kids involved in doing good things. There's one story I might just tell. She put on the best rally ever there. We had the faculty dress up like the village people. They had police uniforms, Indian, really authentic. And they put it on in front of the school.
Yeah.
It was so popular, Teresa said, "I'm going to take this up to the stadium." We were playing Bakersfield. There were 18,000 people there. Well, she didn't tell anyone. She gets all these staff members dressed up in their Indian police stuff.
Yeah.
Comes in a stretch limo on the track at Bakersfield College before the game starts, and out pop these people. Well, the students in the stand knew who they were,
right?
But no one else did. So Bakersfield said, "How did they get the village people to show up tonight?" And the YMCA came on, and they went crazy. But she has just done so much, and she really came back, and she's coaching volleyball again now in retirement.
Is she really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That is outstanding. I love the two of them.
Well,
They're
you know,
great people. Yeah, they are.
Joey Porter invited us back to go to the Ring of Honor, and he invited Teresa, Connie, Preston, and Bob. And we were going to leave the airport, and we were fogged in for 9 hours, so we got to reminisce about all the good things from the old days. And Teresa, we just had a lot of laughs. She's just been something special.
Yeah, she's a wonderful lady. Yeah, and I love her husband, Mark. He's a great guy. I've known him for many years. And like I said, I went to school with Justin and that I was there for the back-to-back championship teams. We were D2. It was a fun time to be on that campus. It really was. Who else we got?
There's 2 non-sports people here. One is Lita Maxwell, the bottom right corner there of our little poster. She is a professor at Boston University. She teaches political science and human sexuality. She is, these people are so talented. She has sang a cappella at the White House.
Wow.
She's gone around the world to these educational opportunities that her education has brought her. She's an author, written many books, a lot of books about politics. A very good person. She'll be there that night. A guy named Jose Santos, who is a radio guy. Now, actually, his full-time job is he's a teacher at West High School.
Yeah.
But he also has this incredible personality and voice, and he's become a world-class radio producer and program. One FM is it's an international Latin media program that goes around the world. That's Jose's doing.
Wow.
So he's traveled the world. He's just a very interesting guy who's come back. He's got a great personality. He'll be great for the crowd to be able to hear from.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, and then I have one more, and he'll tell you about another one. A guy named Arnaldo Coito. Arnaldo was one of those guys. You ever know an athlete that got better as he got older? He was a fine high school thrower in shot and disc.
Yeah.
But he goes to BC. He's a standout at BC. He goes to Cal State on a scholarship, becomes an All-American at Cal State as a shot putter, as a discus thrower, and then something I'd never heard of, something called the 35-pound weight throw. And he ends up he becomes a two-time All-American at Cal State, and then goes on to qualify for the Olympic, go to the Olympic qualifiers. So he's went there like 3 times. So he's just, you never imagine these people walking around in Bakersfield have done these incredible things and imagine a 35-pound weight over 25 yards. He could throw the thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It really is. I think we got one more.
Pat Carlotti. Pat Carlotti was at Foothill 32 years and teaching 35, and he's retired now, but he was at Foothill and he coached some football for 15 years, I think, and then he coached the weight men and track and field. But his biggest thing is that he organized the archiving class at Foothill High School, and they have been taught to interview people and to record it and file it. Now we have a legacy at Foothill. They've interviewed over 150 former teachers and alumni that started the school back in 1962 up to now. So we have a wonderful legacy of digitized material, and he's done all of that, and he's put a YouTube channel, which he does Hall of Fame stuff on.
Wow.
And he drives me to football games, and one of the things we do, we call it the Ned and Pat Show. We go eat at a different place. If we're in Rosemont or California City or over at Morro Bay with Mike, we always go into a restaurant and we tell them we're the critics and we're going to review their service and food that night, whatever it is. And we have shirts made up with, and they give us amazing service. And
I was going to say,
but
great way to get a free meal.
But we don't get a free meal. We honestly, we've eaten at probably over 100 restaurants. We go wherever the football team goes, and then we do a show. He puts pictures of where we're eating, or say it's in the 9331 zip code or whatever,
right.
And gives them a hint, and they call in and see if they can guess where they are. We show them what we're eating.
That's incredible.
And so we do it from everywhere from Morro Bay to up and down the coast here.
I got a hard break, Coach. It's great seeing you guys. This is April 11th at Bakersfield Country Club.
Yep.
Tickets still available, I assume.
We sold out.
Oh, you're sold out?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
FoothillHallOfFame.org if they want to get on a wait list.
Outstanding.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump is delivering a prime-time address on Iran this evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Time from the Oval Office. Ahead of Wednesday's speech, President Trump made another rhetorical U-turn over the Iran war.
He's posted online claiming that Iran's president had asked for a ceasefire. One thing to note is that Trump referred to this president as the new regime president. Iran has the same president that's had the entire war. That's Masoud Pezeshkian. Meanwhile, Iran itself is saying that these claims by Trump online are, quote, false and baseless.
Correspondent John Gambrell reporting. White House correspondent Greg Clugston will anchor live coverage of President Trump's address to the nation tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on many of these same stations. A U.S. reporter who was kidnapped in Baghdad was known for pursuing gutsy, low-budget assignments.
American freelance journalist Shelley Kittleson was often working without formal assignments on shoestring budgets, heading to lawless corners of Iraq. On Tuesday, surveillance video shows her being forced into a car by 2 men on a busy Baghdad street. Iraqi security forces chased them and caught one. U.S. officials say Kittleson had been told there were kidnapping threats against her, and they believe she was taken by Kataib Hezbollah, an Iran-linked Iraqi militia. Friends and fellow journalists say the 49-year-old, who was originally from Wisconsin, built an admirable career across the Middle East and has always been gutsy. I'm Julie Walker.
4 astronauts embarked on a high-stakes flight around the moon, humanity's first lunar voyage in more than a half a century. It's a thrilling lead-off in NASA's push toward a lunar landing in 2 years. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 224 points, the S&P up by 46. More at townhall.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
A murder with no provocation. I'm Chris Davis. Today, a hearing is being held on aggravating circumstances after the jury found Angelo Cabalzuela guilty Monday of the murder of 34-year-old Arthur Medina, a man who was riding a bicycle on Steele Avenue back on January 18th, 2022, when he stopped to talk with a couple of people in a car, and Cabalzuela pulled out a gun and shot him. The hearing is to help determine his sentence, which is potentially 50 years to life. Democratic candidate for governor Katie Porter brought her message of affordability to a town hall in Bakersfield Tuesday. The former congresswoman is one of 8 Democrats running for governor. 2 Republicans are also running. Part of Porter's message is that she believes President Donald Trump's policies are making California a less affordable place to live. Gas prices in California have stayed steady for a couple of days, and the average for a gallon of regular is still at $5.88, says Gas Buddy. A man who was killed in a wreck in Shafter just before 5 a.m. back on March 6th has been ID'd as 22-year-old Angel Ellen Miranda of McFarland by the Kern County Coroner's Office. It's still unclear why, but the Highway Patrol says Miranda slammed his Toyota Corolla into the back of a semi-trailer on Highway 43 and died at the scene. Today was the first day for the closure of part of Highway 58 for some paving work. The city and Caltrans say that closure will also be happening tomorrow. That closure is eastbound 58, and that is between State Route 43 roundabout and Nord Avenue from 7:30 to about 2 p.m. each day. The workarounds are Interstate 5, State Route 43, and State Route 119. Caltrans says the closures could go on longer if needed. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post like this. Bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Wednesday, first day of April. And no, we're not one of those shows. No April Fool's gags, no jokes. I was going to have Chris come in here and start the show, say that I got whacked. But, that might get back to management. They might be like, that's a pretty good idea. The Chris Burdick Show. No April Fool's joke. But we do have a lot still to do. It is National Walk Day, and I'm not joking about this and how important it is to walk. You guys know at every break, top out of the hour, I'm doing laps around this building just to keep moving at my age. It's really, really important. We'll talk about that, how it impacts cardiovascular disease and others. You will hear from David Harrigan, a local cardiologist, about that. Gotta talk a little Dodger baseball. Yoshinobu Yamamoto takes the bump tonight as the Dodgers try to take 2 of 3 from the Cleveland Guardians. Shohei Ohtani got his first win last night. Write this down. Write it down, Chris. Shohei Ohtani, Cy Young Award winner. Just saying. Threw a one-hitter last night. No runs. Just saying. Work my words. We'll talk about that. And we'll recap our top story of the day. I've got some more audio that I want to play for you as the Supreme Court debates on birthright citizenship. I've told you, and I rarely disagree with Teresa Goldner because she's forgotten more about the law than I will ever know. This is a slam dunk. Maybe Kavanaugh, maybe Clarence, but this is a 7-2 slam dunk. There is no way on earth they're going to end birthright citizenship. No way in the world. I'm sorry, Teresa. I got to disagree with you. In the meantime, as I've talked about all afternoon, the folks from Bakersfield College are here with us. To my direct left, dressed incredibly impeccably, Dr. Cesar Jimenez. And to his left, your right, is, let me get this straight, America Nina Rodriguez. Did I get that right?
American Nino Rodriguez. I know it's long.
Nino Rodriguez. America. That is a beautiful name.
Thank you.
I have never heard that name in my life. I really haven't.
It's definitely unique.
It is definitely unique. Yeah. And so is the College Core program at Bakersfield College. Which one do you want to go first and explain?
Well, so I can kick us off.
All
right. Just to add to your narrative there, you're just getting into Go Dodgers. But I'm going to share with you a little bit about what we're doing. I mean,
okay.
We see Bakersfield College is crushing it, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Mr. Bailey. I mean,
absolutely.
We have a supportive president, President Pfluger, our chancellor, Dr. Stephen Bloomberg. And so without both of their leadership, we wouldn't be able to do the work we're doing, and specifically with the college program. I'm going to highlight that. We're one of 23 California community colleges who has this program. So we had to go through a process and submit it, and America can tell you more about it. We submitted this application. We're one of 23 community colleges who has this. Our students, we're going to have up to 71 fellows who are going to be able to do service learning, tied to career, and our students are going to be able to get up to $10,000 for the service work that they're going to be doing.
Wow.
Focused on climate action, K through 12, and addressing basic needs. So imagine yourself as a college student. Would you want another $10,000 in your pocket? Absolutely. While you're helping your community. So that's like the cream. That's the icing on the cake right there, is that our students are going to be able to get up to $10,000 for being involved in the community, helping enhance and improve the community.
That's incredible. Yeah. It really is. And that's what I love about my association with Bakersfield College and how I got on board. Just all the different things that you're doing that are so separate from so many different community colleges, and the reach out program, the fact that you're taking the education to the students, and the fact that you're even taking college to a high school level. I'm a product of private school, and I got into private school late, so I had a great comparison. And the biggest comparison was the private schools focus completely on college prep. And that's what you guys are doing, we had Dr. Bloomberg in here. He was telling us about the program. We were having like 7th and 8th graders come to the campus. Just the presence of just having that in their minds at such a young age advances education so incredibly, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but.
And you know what? And America can share more. I mean, she's overseeing our CalSO program. So she's in there right now with our high schools. I'm going to pause, hand it over to America.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, I oversee CalSOAP and College Core right now. So CalSOAP, as you mentioned, we're at the high school. So we're already working with the high school students, college applications, financial aid, everything that they need to get ready for college. And I'm glad you mentioned high school, because if there's a 12th grader right now that's getting ready to start BC in the fall, College Core is ready for them. So all they have to do is go to our website, search up College Core, email me directly and apply. And then we'll check their eligibility to make sure that they're full-time and can participate in College Core starting in the fall. So they'll be able to, as Dr. Jimenez said, have hands-on learning opportunities where they will earn, learn, and serve in their community, and hopefully graduate with a little bit less debt and gain a wider professional network, build up their skill level, and give back to their community.
Yeah. What are some of the qualifications? What are the
So they would need to be full-time students and have some demonstrated need. So whether financial needs, so whether that's through a financial aid application or demonstrate that they need to work to support their higher education, that's really it. I mean, it's pretty open. And, if there's any questions that they have, they can always email me directly or just check our website and we will walk them through the entire process.
Is this a new program?
This is a new program. So this
Brand
is fairly new to the state of California, but in particular new to Bakersfield College. So like I said, we're one of 23 California community colleges who has this program out of 116 California community colleges. To America's point, our students are going to be able to hopefully come away with less debt, also with more money in their pocket.
Yeah,
like I said, up to $10,000 that they're going to get for the work that they're doing.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
How many students do you expect in the program? Is there a infinite number? Or?
We have 71 slots allocated. And the priority deadline is June 1st. So as long as students apply before June 1st, we will guarantee that we'll review their application.
Yeah. How are you getting the word out? Are you going to high schools or how
a little bit of everything.
On
the high schools, radio. We're hoping to put out a press release. So we'll share that as well. And we'll have a press conference. We'll invite you to that as well.
Yeah.
Social media.
Yeah, that's outstanding. It really is. And it's something that these kids should know because so many kids just get on campus because they're expected to go to college, or this is just, I'm assuming this is the next step. And they just kind of wander around for a year, not really knowing, what direction and what to do and how to get finances and stuff like this. And this is incredible. And it just helps so many students who are in need and want an education, sincerely want an education.
And to your point, I mean, our students are going to be able to strengthen their student sense of belonging. They're going to be spending time together with one another, with America, with the future College Course staff, and they're going to be in our communities addressing and helping with basic needs, K through 12 education and climate action. So to your point, college can be daunting, but to be able to, again, be in the community, help enhance and improve our community, and also get it up to $10,000, they're also working together, with a group of students, building long-lasting relationships, really having a belonging at the college.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Tell us about America Nino Rodriguez. How long have you been in BC? Are you from here? Tell us all about yourself.
I am from here. I'm a Kern County girl through and through. I actually grew up in Lamont. And I've been with Bakersfield College for 2 years.
Yeah. And we've had you on the show before, but tell us a little bit about Cesar.
So I'm born and raised in Chicago. I moved to California about 8 years ago.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah. So
Chi-town boy.
Chi-town, south side of Chicago.
Really?
Yeah. Often people will say, "Oh yeah, I'm also from Chicago," and I'm like, "Yeah, what part?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, the suburbs." I'm like, "All right, you're not from Chicago."
That's not
Chicago.
No,
but
living out there with Muhammad Ali and Jesse Jackson. No, that's not Chi-town.
It's south side. But you know what? I've been in the Central Valley, for the last 16 years. I've been together with my wife for the last 16 years, and our sisters-in-law, they live in Porterville, Visalia, and so I've been in Bakersfield now for maybe 2-3 years.
So you're entrenched in the Central Valley.
I'm in it. Yeah. I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah,
Mr. Bailey.
I ask all the BC folks, whoever it is, if it's the chancellor, it's the president, I don't care who it is, how are we doing breaking down the wall and getting more kids to four-year schools? I know that's been an issue. This, in my opinion, this draconian, antiquated system where they want everybody to stay in their lanes, but yet the UCs and the CSUs aren't, but they expect the community colleges to do so. How are we doing in terms of more four-year degrees and getting more kids to be able to transfer to four-year colleges?
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, BC has been doing an amazing job. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm going to highlight student services and instruction in all the different areas because the people who are doing the work have been doing it. We have early college. We have close to 13,000 students from high school who are taking dual enrollment classes at BC.
That is my favorite program.
And
it really is. Where kids are getting, I always use T. Johnson's daughter as the poster child.
Yep.
She's 18 years old and she's got a master's degree.
Yeah.
I'm joking, but she's got about 2 or 3 years of college, and she's 18 years old. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. To your point, I mean, one of our CalSoap college success coaches went through early college, and she went straight to a university, UC Santa Barbara, and then came back to the community to serve in CalSoap. So
That's
It's
incredible.
making a difference.
It
It's making
is.
a huge difference.
It makes an absolute difference.
It's BC. We serve over 46,000 students, but we're also not just on the main campus. We're at Arvin. We're in Delano, BC Southwest, which is on CSUB, campus.
Yeah.
In addition to that, we got 2 bachelor's degrees. So we're also offering baccalaureate degrees. In addition to that, we're super economical with a low tuition rate. And at the same time, we have student housing coming in. We have programs like College Core, Cal Soap, Early College, and other programs where our students really get to learn, become part of the community. They're invested. They have student sense of belonging. And I will share that we also got recognized in the state of California for the number of associate degrees for transfer that we offer.
Wow.
So that's the ADT. That's, for the students who want to transfer, often that can be daunting. Like, what credentials should I be following? It's the ADT, and we've been awarded and recognized for the work we're doing with that too. So, like I said, BC's been crushing it, Mr. Bailey. I'm lucky to be a part of that and just help elevate the work we're doing.
Mr. Bailey?
If I could make a plug too, we talked about the students applying for College Core. We also need community host partners. So if there's nonprofit organizations in the community, NGOs, government agencies, K through 12 education, schools that want to partner with us and host fellows and mentor them and nurture them, help them grow professionally, there's also a link on our application on our website where folks can submit an interest form and we'll get them set up.
Outstanding. Give them your email address one more time and tell parents or students how they can get involved with the college prep program.
Yeah, they can go to our website, bakersfieldcollege.edu, or my email, america.nino@bakersfieldcollege.edu.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Always good to see you guys. I appreciate you coming in. Always good to see you, Doctor.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for coming in. Really do. Thank you very much. And again, if you just walked in on this or you want to hear it again or want your kids to hear it, just go to YouTube and scroll up into the 5 o'clock hour and you can listen to the entire interview once again. Take a quick time out. We'll come back. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. Bottom of the hour, we'll talk a little sports. You'll hear from a cardiologist on why walking is so important. Seriously, it is National Walk Day. We'll talk about that. Wrap this thing up. Tomorrow is a Thursday. Michael Turnipseed along with Daniel Petrie. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Thursday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We will break down the absolute latest on the war in Iran. What do we think about potential ceasefire talks? How is the market responding? What is the price of oil and gas doing? We will tell you all of that. More fallout from the birthright citizenship and the president's big address, 9 p.m. Eastern. What did he say? What do we think? All that and more. You won't want to miss it. Thursday edition, Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Last week, there was a Paul Sheldon sighting. Kind of rare and very exciting. Everyone asking, where has he been? Of course, his clients weren't worried about their Medicare, even when Paul in person wasn't there, because there's Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. The grandkids like to play, where's Waldo? Granddad's asking, hey, where'd Paul go? Just games that are fun to win. But when push comes to shove and the day is done, we know it's covered, so it's all in fun. Because there's Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. Over the years, so many have said it. The guy's a genius. Gotta give the man credit. He put it together way back then. Brought along those 3 Medicare pros, who of course by now everyone knows are Christine, Kelly, and Lynn.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids. Rolaids' dual-active formula has calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. Yeah, you heard right. 2 actives for that powerful relief. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I get back to moving mountains.
Rolade spells powerful relief. Reach label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger,
to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
My name is Ariel. When I arrived in the U.S. at 19, I struggled to find job opportunities without my high school diploma. My entire life changed when I took a chance and got my high school diploma at age 22. Everything I have, my education, my career, my marriage, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and my teachers. They were with me every step of the way, helping with my English and math, making sure I pushed through all the challenges.
Ariel, your success proves that what I'm doing as a teacher has real meaning.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
Education was the key that unlocked all my opportunities.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 K.
Dr. Bloomberg, Dr. Pfluger, the president, the chancellor, and the president, respectively, are doing some of the programs that they're doing. The thing that always catches my eye is how they are reaching out. And I try to stress that anytime we have guests on, because I think that's one of the most important things that they're doing. And that's just simply introducing college to young people, just having the thought. Because I can remember, one of the biggest problems about adults is we forget what we thought and what space we were in when we were kids. And I honestly didn't start thinking about college until I was about 10th grade. They started talking about taking the PSAT, the practice SAT. And my parents started talking about it. And it wasn't a matter of if I was going to college, it was where I was going to college. And, back when I was a kid in the 70s throughout high school, going to a junior college was kind of an insult. It meant you couldn't get into a four-year school, that your grades were so bad you couldn't get into even a bad four-year school, that you had to go to West LA or Pierce Junior College or El Camino, and it was a badge of dishonor. But now, the way colleges are and the amount of money one has to spend over a four-year period, it's the smart play. It's the absolute smart play. Because I think so many students, as I got lucky. I stumbled staggeringly, haphazardly into what I want to do. You've heard me tell the story. I'm on a plane with my father, and we're headed to Atlanta. I'm on my way to Morehouse, and he asked me for the first time, because my father and I didn't really communicate like that very well. We communicated when we had to. My dad didn't come just sit in my room and let's just chew the fat, Ralph. He was a workaholic. We talked when we had to. And so we're sitting on this plane. He says, "Have you figured out what your major is going to be?" And in typical 17-year-old Ralph form, can you imagine me at 17? Blah, 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 blah. As my father tells the story, I didn't stop talking until we started descending into Atlanta. I started when we left LA, and I stopped when we started descending in Atlanta. And I said, "I don't know, Pop. I'm thinking about political science. You always wanted me to be a lawyer. I don't know if I would practice law, but maybe get a law degree and use that to write, because I think that's about the only thing I'm really, really good at. And maybe I'll do this, and I'll do that, and I'll do that." And I went through like 5 different majors and like 8 different professions. And finally, around, over Denver, my dad said, "Well, I do know something. You know how to run your mouth. And I wish you'd knock it off. Just let me get a little sleep." And I swear to God, a light bulb went on. I was like, I do. I've been class president every year other than 1 year. How can I make money talking? And I thought, I know. I'll get in the communications business. But I was like, I don't want to do TV. And I'm certainly not going to do radio. Good Google it, Moogly. Only losers do radio. People that can no longer do TV end up in radio. I ain't doing radio. But I thought that's when I light went on. And I went down to the Maroon Tiger, and it was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. So then I went to the radio station. It was even worse. And so I just started writing. I just started writing stuff and sending it different places. And I won a couple of scholarships. And then I won a scholarship with the Associated Press, which was huge because their office was in the CNN building. And that's what led me to get my internship at CNN. And I'll never forget, it was my first interview ever. And I walked into the AP guy's office, and he was this old school, what we used to call a cracker, old school Southern guy. I'll never forget, he had on suspenders and a belt, which I found kind of interesting. And he's just this old school Alabama, come on in, Ralph. And I'm standing there, and he says, I'm dressed as nicely as I can dress. And he says, looks like you didn't finish getting dressed there, Ralph. And I'm like, this old man is crazy. What is he talking about? And I'm like, well, sir, I wore a tie and I'm wearing a sport coat. He said, take a look down there, son. Not only was my zipper open, but my zipper was open. Let's just leave it at that. And I was like, oh, sorry. Let me readjust and zip open. It was just, and that was the beginning of my interview. And I was like, I ain't never going to get this deal. And I didn't. I didn't get the Associated Press deal. But I was in the CNN building. So, being the ambitious young man that I was, I said, I might as well stop over at CNN because I ain't getting this. I knew this thing went badly. So I went over to CNN and I filled out this thing, and I'm a senior at Morehouse, bop, 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 and I got an internship at CNN, which led to me working in LA during the summer because I worked at CNN in Atlanta. And then one summer, thanks to Harriet, my mother said, why don't you get up off your lazy butt? You worked at CNN in Atlanta. Why don't you work at the CNN here? I was like, Mom, they're not going to give me a job, but I'll go down there. I'm not doing anything. And I didn't even comprehend that I was working at the mother lode. I was working at the nucleus of CNN, the base. I ran into Ted Turner a couple of times. And it didn't dawn on me, of course they're going to give you a job. You worked at the big place. And I ended up doing an internship at CNN on Sunset and Cahuenga that summer. And I had the thrill of my life, as some of you well know. It's where I got to meet Muhammad Ali. It's where I got to meet Larry King. I got to meet Jerry Weiner, who was a very, very famous news director at the time. He was part of the Bernard Shaw Pulitzer Prize winning broadcast when they continued to broadcast during the war. And they were in a hotel room. You could hear bombs going off. I met that guy, goofy guy who would walk around the CNN office without his shoes on. He wore suspenders and a bow tie every day, but he was considered a brilliant, brilliant news director. Headed to the final half hour of the broadcast. It's TRBS. I would stick around if I knew.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump is set to address the nation on the war in Iran. This will be his first primetime speech since launching strikes with Israel over 4 weeks ago. Trump plans to outline objectives for the conflict, which has seen shifting goals and mixed messages. White House correspondent Greg Clugston will anchor coverage of the president's address on many of these same stations. 4 astronauts embarked on a high-stakes flight around the moon, humanity's first lunar voyage in more than a half-century. It's a thrilling lead-off in NASA's push toward a lunar landing in 2 years. The 32-story moon rocket blasted off from Florida's Kennedy Space Center Wednesday evening, carrying 3 Americans and 1 Canadian. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 224 points. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. A guilty verdict for Angelo Cabalsuela for the murder of 34-year-old Arthur Medina, which happened on Steele Avenue back on January 18th, 2022, means a hearing is being held today to help determine his sentence. One of the aggravating circumstances is that Medina had done nothing to provoke the killing and was essentially a sitting duck on his bicycle. The potential sentence is 50 years to life. Democratic candidate for governor Katie Porter, a former congresswoman, visited Bakersfield Tuesday and was part of a town hall. Her message is affordability and that she believes President Trump's policies are damaging affordability in the state. The average gas price in California is $5.88. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for and there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car, and there it goes. That's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff. Like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We all start as tiny seeds, needing care, love, and a little sunlight. Then boom, we sprout, stretch, and grow through the world of childhood and teen years. Before you know it, we're blooming, working, parenting, thriving. And yes, even golden petals can shine bright. Join Kern County Public Health and thrive like a poppy. Visit KernPublicHealth.com to learn more.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Roy Orbison. Pretty woman. I got a phone call from Wells Fargo.
Uh-oh.
No, uh-oh.
Oh, okay.
I don't think with that. I'm a Chase guy.
Oh, that's right.
That's what I'm like, Wells Fargo. I'll ignore that. Oh, they left a...
It is what they call a scam.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just going to ignore that. But let me catch up on some text messages. I have several. Mike Maggard, we're at the door. I can ignore that. David Couch sent me an invitation to something. Okay, thank you, Mr. Couch. I might attend that. And one from Mike Parrott. Tell the story, King Ali, come on, do it. It's classic, never gets old. I just told that story. Really, should I tell it again? Big Dog says tell it again. It's a classic.
That is what the people want.
All right, I'll tell it. I've told it 1,000 times. Like I just said, my junior year, I did an internship at CNN. This is before I got the internship I hate to say senior year because I was never a senior at Morehouse College. I was a sophomore at best. But my fourth year in Atlanta, I got a job at the Hilton Head Island Packet, another great summer where I got to live with my grandmother, and we had breakfast together every morning before I'd go to, she wouldn't let me leave the house if I didn't have breakfast. There were like some mornings where I was like, Grandma, I don't have to be at work for another hour and a half. But you got to eat breakfast, baby. No, Grandma, I really don't. Yes, you do. And so I have to get up. This is about a half an hour, 40-minute drive to Hilton Head. And like I said, when I got home this previous summer, I was just literally playing golf from 8 to 12. I'd come home at noon, and sometimes I'd go to the Playboy Club because my dad was a member, and I don't know if you realize this, many of you do, but His name is Ralph E. Bailey, and that's on the Playboy card. And guess who else is Ralph E. Bailey? So I would literally go to the Playboy Club, and I never abused it. That's why my dad never really said anything. I'd go, and for some reason I was drinking, I remember this vividly. Back in those days, I drank Myers and OJ, which ain't bad. Have you ever had Myers and OJ? Mm-mm. It's dark rum with a splash of OJ. It's really good. I'd have 2 of those and a basket of mushrooms. Cost my pop back in those days like $12. So I would do that. And that was about it. I'd come home at 5 o'clock, and one afternoon, my mother finally said, "Why don't you get up off your lazy butt and get a job?" I said, "Mom, all I know how to do is communications." She said, "Well, doesn't CNN have a station here?" I said, "A station? It's not a station. It's a network, you ninny." I said it in my head. I didn't say that to my mother. I said, "Of course they do, Mom." I said, "Why don't you go down there and try to get a job?" I said, "All right, first thing in the morning, I'll go down there. I'm not getting no job at CNN." And I told him that I had worked for 3 months in Atlanta, and ding, 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 doors opened up. They hired me immediately. And one of my jobs, I had 2 shifts. I was there from 5 to noon, and some days I was there from noon to 6. And on this Friday, I was there from noon to 6. And it was a long time tradition, if you're a former Larry King fan, that Larry King, whose studio was located, I believe, in D.C., he would bring a show out to Los Angeles every summer. And his producer was a woman by the name of Tammy Haddad. You can go Google her. She's a very famous producer and went on and did huge things after Larry King retired. But she was a very tall woman, and just a dynamic woman. And she's about 5'30", 5'25" on a Friday, meaning there's nobody in the studio, absolutely nobody. But I'm in there doing what I used to do. And Chris has no idea what I'm talking about, but back in the day, there used to be things called teletypes, where the news came across a machine, and it pumped out all this news. And on Saturday mornings, it would be just nothing but reams of paper on the ground. So my job, or whoever the intern was on Fridays, your job was to clean up the teletype. And so there were 3 polls. There was a national, state, and an international poll. And you had to read the story and put, from France, you put it on the international poll. If it's from Sacramento, you put it on the state poll. If it's from New Jersey, you put it on the American, the USA poll. And this is what got me really ensconced in journalism, because I would go home on those days thinking, I may not be the most intelligent, but I'm the most informed son of a bitch in Los Angeles right now. I really am. And I really felt that. And that, I don't know, somehow gave me power. One day on a Friday, I'm doing that, and Tammy Haddad walks in, and she's like, "Where is everybody?" And I'm like, "Everybody's gone." "You the only one here?" "Yes, ma'am." "Well, come with me." "Okay." And she comes with me, and we walk in, and the studio's packed. And, King's been there all summer, but I've never seen like an audience. The studio people are hanging around. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And she says, "Now come here and sit in this chair." And I'm like, "Oh." And I realize it's a photography chair. And I'm like, no. You don't want me to. She "Sit down." And I'm like, "You really don't want me to do this? I have never done this. I'm an intern. I don't work here. I'm an intern. Just listen, put this headset on. The director's going to tell you what to do. Now, there's a small red box in your thing. You just keep their forehead, keep the red box just above their forehead. You understand that? If the red box goes at their forehead, you're cutting them off. Do you understand?" She's like yelling at me. And I've never operated a camera in my life. Now it's about 5:40. Show starts at 6 live. And now I'm starting to get used to it. I'm trolleying and whatever the phrase is. I'm moving around. And the director's like, "Stop screwing around." I'm like, "Oh, sorry. And so all of a sudden I hear in the hallway, "The champ is here! The champ is here!" And I turn to one of the photo guys and I go, "That's funny. That's what Ali chants when he comes in." And the look this guy gave me, like, Morehouse College, huh? Dr. King went there, really? And that's where you went to school? You nitwit, you. And all of a sudden, I see this pack of people, and there's one head clearly above everybody's. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It's Ali. That's why everybody's here. Ali's the guest. Holy crap. Well, to make a long story short, even though it's way too late for that, they don't use one of my shots. The guy's yelling at me. In fact, one of the associate producers came and talked to me during the commercial. "Son, you got to do better." I'm an intern, sir. They just brought me in here. And he goes, you're an intern? I go, yes, the tall lady brought me in from the newsroom. I don't know what I'm doing. Literally. All right, just do your best and blah, 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 blah. And so the show ends. It's now 7:00 and everybody has stood by. And now everybody is hovered around the desk just trying to get a hold because Ali didn't leave. And he's talking with Larry and they're just sitting there chewing the fat. And it's like a church because everybody wants to hear what they're talking about. And at one point in the conversation, Ali says, on my father's grave, he says, Larry, I've been up and down the CNN building, and I've seen 2 black people in the whole building. The receptionist downstairs on the first floor, and that young black boy back there. And I swear to God, at my father's grave, I went like this. I went, what are you talking about? Holy crap, he's talking about me. And he literally gets up, and a wall of just the people just spread apart as he walks, like the Red Sea. And he comes up to me and he says, what's your name, young fella? And I'm like, Ralph Bailey. That's it, Ralph Bailey. He goes, no, it's not. It's Joe Frazier. And it's the 15th round. And this is 83. Yeah, 83, where he had just started to show signs of his Parkinson's disease. But he was still very, he was on the show for an hour without his wife. Lonnie was not there. And so he was still very vocal, but he was starting to shake. And I was like, does everybody know that I'm not Joe Frazier? Is he kidding or is he? And he's just, and I can like feel the wind of his punches. And I'm like, does he know that if he just happens to tap me on the jaw, I'm out for life? And he says, I got you, didn't I? And I said, yeah, you did, champ. Yeah, you did. And he walked back, and I literally, as he's walking back, I'm running to a phone. And my first phone call was to Ed Skelly. It wasn't even to my mother. It was to Ed Skelly. And I go, dude, you will not believe who I just talked to. I said, I talked to Muhammad Ali. I'm at CNN. And I was a photographer. He's like, shut up. Have you been drinking? I go, listen. And I just held up the phone, and you could hear Ali still talking. Because, again, it's like a church. I go, do you hear? That's Ali. He's going to be on Larry King. Watch it tonight. And he's like, are you serious? Yeah, I got to go. And then I called my mother, and I told her the same thing. They're the only 2 people on the planet to believe that story, other than my parent. And and then I later found out that that's a long time bit that Ali does. He's done it hundreds of times. Honestly, I thought it was special to me. And it was just, that's what hurt me so bad about seeing his demise, because I got to see him in person in one of the final years where he was still very articulate. He whispered most of the interview with Larry, but he was still articulate. He was still sharp. He was still funny. He was still talking about Joe Frazier, and they talked about his. Most of the conversation was about Vietnam and what he went through when he was suspended from playing boxing and couldn't make a living. And they talked about his rivalry with Joe Frazier, a Beaufort, South Carolina boy, who my father detested because he dismissed himself from Beaufort, South Carolina, and always told people that he was from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where he did move. Joe left South Carolina when he was like 18 to become a pro boxer, and he moved to Philly. He'd been there his whole life. But his mother lived his whole life in Beaufort. And my dad just kind of resented that a Beaufort SC boy would deny his origins and always told people he was from Philly. And anytime Frazier was on TV, my father would say, that Negro ain't from Philly. That boy from Beaufort, South Carolina. I know exactly where his mama lived, Philly. I thought that was funny. Let's go ahead and take our final break of the day. And we come back, you will hear why it's important to get up and move, that you get up and walk. You should be trying to get 10,000 steps, but I'm averaging, let me tell you what I'm averaging. I am averaging 5,059 steps. That's not good. I mean, that's okay. I'm about 1,000 steps down from where I was last year. You want to be around 10,000 steps a day. And all I do is just circle my apartment complex. I just go around the block about 9, 10, 12 times. And sometimes, I love Westchester so much, sometimes I'll just cross 23rd Street and just get lost Westchester, go down to Jastrow Park, turn around, walk down to Truxton, get my drugs from Komodo Pharmacy. Or maybe walk downtown, go to Goobies, get my hair cut, walk back, stop at Roosters, David Brust's place, have a cocktail. I did that a couple of weeks ago. But you got to walk, folks, particularly as you get older. Because I can't run. I'm not going to run. But I'll get my 5,000-6,000 steps. And when I play golf, I get anywhere from 10. I got like 13,000 steps in our tournament last Monday. But you got to walk, and you'll hear why it's so important when we come back. And then we'll wrap this thing up. Again, tomorrow's a Thursday. Mike Turnipseed, Daniel Petrie. And we got a bunch of guests on Friday as well. It's a busy week as we celebrate Easter, heading into the Easter weekend. Again, happy Easter to you all. Final break of the night. Keep it locked. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. In the meantime, it's the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 at AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
It's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
It could be for any.
Whenever you're ready.
You ready? 3, 2. I'm sorry, I got to vehemently disagree with Howard Marcus. I think that if we leave NATO, that leaves Western Europe wide open. Yes, we are freedom's cop. It ain't fair. It ain't right. But what if we're not there in 1914? What if we're not there in 1941? And you really think that if NATO is not in place, that Vladimir Putin isn't going to run roughshod over Western Europe? We are freedom's cop. That's the way a TI is. 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Thursday TRBS. If it's a Thursday, Mike Turnipseed will be here along with our money man, Daniel Petrie, and the latest on Artemis 2 as it flashes its way to the moon. All that, and me at 3. It's TRBS. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. I'll see you at 3.
$50,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-498-6548. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-498-6548. That's 800-498-6548. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
It's the JR Show.
So the district attorney's office wants to get rid of a reputable nonprofit for whatever reason, only to bring in a nonprofit that on the surface at least appears to be unqualified to do the job. Oh, and not only that, charge us $75,000 a year for the next 2 years for something that used to cost us $0. Yeah, that makes sense.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
Stand by me. So darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me.
An interview one of Rob Reiner's friends did recently on a podcast I was just streaming through. If you're asking how the hell did I bring up Rob Reiner, he directed Stand By Me, the film. Great picture, by the way, one of his first and one of his better films. And they were, his buddy basically said Rob was just too nice. Rob was just too nice. And he said that, he said, I know it's difficult to say because it's the hardest thing that a parent has to do, but at some point you have to recognize who your child is. And in some cases, you have to disengage. He said this boy was pure evil from the get-go. From as a small child, this boy was troubled and was a pain in their life his whole life. He was violent. He was reckless. And they said this was long before the drugs. Long before the drugs. He was a troubled teen. And, that's why parenthood is just such a weird thing because they have several kids and the two other kids, although they live one of them lives across the street from the Reiners, or did, which, that's kind of weird. But anyway, they're fine. They're normal and they're successful. And it just goes to show you that you can't parent, in my opinion. And again, I know it doesn't mean bupkis to you all because I don't have any kids, but that's the dumbest theory I've ever heard. But you just can't parent every child the way you parent. Like I was parented totally different than my sisters because I was the oldest. I was the first. I'm 4 years older than my second sister, and I'm 10 years older than my late sister. And I would always say, the stuff that my sisters get away with, I never could have gotten away with because they were harsher to me than they were my sisters. And it's like coaching a team. You can't treat every player the same. There's always been that fallacy, I treat all my players the same. That's crap. And when we first started to learn that, when coaches started to be honest, it was Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson was the first coach who was like, no, I don't treat my same players the same. He said, if Chris Burdick falls asleep in a meeting, I'm going to cut his ass. If Troy Aikman falls asleep in a meeting, I'm going to wake him up. You kidding me? There's a famous Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick story. Belichick tells the story that Lawrence Taylor walked in on a meeting 10 minutes late. So he didn't say anything, but he goes to Parcells and he says, Bill, I just want you to know that LT came into the meeting 10 minutes late. And Parcells kind of paused and looked at him and said, well, why'd you start the meeting without him? You know what I'm saying? What are we going to find him? We going to bench the best player on the football team, on the football field. Not the best player on our team, but the best player on the field. We're going to sit him down. And LT tells the story that once he did get benched for a series. That was his punishment. They sat him down for a series. The team punted. The offense went on. They punted. LT, get in there. So you don't treat everybody the same, and you can't parent everybody the same. Just saying. Shohei Ohtani got his first win in his Cy Young bid. Write it down. You heard it here first. He's going to win the Cy Young. And while that's good news for him, it's bad news for C.B. Buckner, who is 20 days older than I am. And I'm pretty sure I couldn't handle a major league schedule, traveling like that, never being home, and having to concentrate like that. Okay, so CB had a hard time with he had 6 overturned calls behind the plate. And I don't know if you understand how umpire crews work. They shift. You work the plate one day, you work first base the next day, second base the third day, and then you circle back around to home plate so that you're not, so umpires, managers don't have to deal with you every day behind the plate. Well, there was it wasn't a bang play. There was a play at first base where the second baseman threw the ball away toward home plate. And Buckner was looking at the ball and didn't see the player hit first base. And here's the thing that I don't understand. It's one thing, and I used to say this as a baseball coach to umpires, it's one thing to miss a call, but it's another thing just to make it up. Because he said the guy didn't touch the base, and they went back and showed, and I mean, he couldn't have touched that base more flush. And then they had a wide shot, so like this is first base, and the guy throws the ball up here toward home plate. Buckner was looking at the ball. He never even looked at first base. And then for him to have the gonads to go to the home plate umpire and tell him the guy didn't touch first base, dude, now you're just making stuff up. I told Chris he's not going to make it to the All-Star game. He's just not. Because every time he's behind home plate, he's going to have 6 to 10 missed calls. And I'm starting to ease back on my criticism of some of the missed calls because some of these missed calls are literally an inch. I mean, when it barely touches the bottom of the strike zone and they overturn it, you got to give the guy a pass. No human eye can see that. Yes, obviously, the technology can do what man can't do. That's by pure definition. It's the ones where it's like the complete ball is in the strike zone. That's when it's like, oh no, that's no, that can't happen. You know, if it's catching this, or if it's an inch, 2 inches is a pretty big margin, actually. 2 inches off the plate is a pretty big, that far off the plate is a pretty big margin. It really is. But when it barely nicks it or it's an inch, come on, you got to give these guys a break. And then there was the first, did you see this, Chris? There was the first electronic argument.
Electronic argument?
Yeah, the first ABS argument where the manager came out and they were like, how can he argue with the machine? And the argument was that the player didn't tap his head in time. He said he waited too long to tap his head. And they went back, and it was the pitcher who did it. And it was kind of confusing because I couldn't tell initially, was he just adjusting his cap or was he tapping it? They deemed that he tapped it, but the opposing manager said he didn't do it in time because you have to do it immediately. You can't look at the dugout where they've got a TV and they can tell you to overturn it. You got to do it immediately. And so the first ABS argument broke out last night where the manager said he didn't do it in time. You got to do it immediately. And he got tossed out. But tonight, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the ace of our staff, goes to try to take the series from the Cleveland Guardians, getting 2 out of 3 with a win, moving the Dodgers to 5-1, atop of the NL West, of course. In the meantime, I want to thank Dr. Cesar Jimenez and America Nino Rodriguez from Bakersfield College, our good friend and former supervisor, Mike Maggard, and the legend, Ned Permenter, and, of course, Howard Marcus. Tomorrow, Mike Turnipseed from Current Tax, and our money man, Daniel Petrie. And tomorrow will mark 1 week from the Masters. In the meantime, for Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. I will rap to you tomorrow.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump is preparing to speak momentarily from the Oval Office on the latest regarding the war on Iran.
In the words of Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, it will be an important update. Word of the speech came after the president suggested that U.S. forces could finish the military campaign against Iran in a couple of weeks, even as thousands more U.S. troops are heading to the Middle East.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. The president faces mounting questions about the costs, rationale, and objectives of the war, as well as the exit plan. Correspondent Greg Clugston will anchor live coverage of President Trump's address to the nation tonight on many of these same stations. As Christians prepare to celebrate Easter this Sunday, a new book celebrates both faith and family in our 250